I had it at 25% volume, and I was wondering why I could barely hear you. Will
We
Anderson.
are live. Texans trade up, pick 3, baby.
After claiming they were going defense with the number 2 overall pick, they played it perfectly, get the Panthers to take Bryce Young. They had C.J. Stroud as their number 1 guy, move up and get Will Anderson.
I hate it. Will Anderson is a bum. Vernon Golston 2.0. This kid is too small, too slow. I'm sitting here, I'm putting my name, my reputation on the line. Will Anderson is going to be a bust. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this kid stinks.
See, I think this kid is a great producer, 5-star recruit coming out of high school as a sophomore. 100-plus tackles, 31 tackles for loss, 17 sacks. Didn't have quite as much production in this junior season, only had 10 sacks. I wouldn't say that he's a top-tier guy like a Von Miller running 4.4s, but he's running a 4.6. He can bend. You can stand him up. Not going to be a guy that he gets his hand in the dirt. Get him in a 3-4 scheme, rush him off that edge, give him 10 to 14 sacks a season.
Well, that's just it. He's a 3-4 outside backer who's going to rush every play. For him to be worth 3 overall, he has to be elite. I say 15 to 18 sacks a year in the NFL passing game today. I just don't think he has it. He's going to give you nothing in the pass game. He has no ability to cover. And if you put him as a 4-3 DN, this kid's going to let up 200 a game on the ground, getting bullied by offensive tackles.
That's what I like about him, his ability to play the RPO with his ability to read and change direction. So you can fake it. A team like the Eagles trying to run that stuff, to me, Will Anderson is a new style linebacker, a perfect hybrid, and I think he's going to be a great player in Houston.
I think you got Indianapolis sitting there, and Jonathan Taylor is sitting there with his chops lighting up, saying, "I'm still going for 200 a game against the Texans."
Call me crazy. I would have dealt Jonathan Taylor for a top 15 pick this year.
No, if they could have got that, yeah, they're not smart enough. They're just
I'll
not
take running back in the 3rd round to be right on my way. But let's see.
We talked about this a little bit earlier today. When I looked at Alabama's schedule, they finished playing 3 teams in the top 25 plus a bowl game against Kansas State. Out of the 3 regular season games, they lost 2 of them. Bryce, both of these guys, I think the hype does not equal what I see coming in.
So can we get a quote that the Bryce is wrong?
The jury will be out. I just don't think Bryce is giving you 17 games a year. I don't think Bryce is winning 12 a year every year. We've talked about it before. If it's a surefire guy, Trevor Lawrence, 6'5", can move around, great athleticism, has the body to take it. That's the type of guy that goes 1 overall at the quarterback position. We've said love the player, hate the pick. I'm iffy on the player, hate the pick.
Now, I'll tell you this. We've discussed we would have both traded down with any of these top 5 picks. We would equate this to paying $40 for a 20-piece McNugget at McDonald's.
Cardinals, especially with what they're looking at coming up next year with Kyler, lucky as can be that they were able to make that deal. Do we know what the price was?
I haven't seen the price as of yet. Let me see if I can track that down. Where do you think the Colts are headed with this pick?
Anthony Richardson, baby.
You would take him over Will Levis?
That's where I think they're going. Well, I think Will Levis is a 5th-round pick. I've gone out on Twitter, and I personally told Levis I think he stinks. You guys might think I'm negative. You guys might think I hate everybody. If I had this pick, I'm going Jalen Carter. I'm building a foundational piece at top 5 you can't miss. And that, to me, Jalen Carter is a can't miss. If Levis goes here, I'm laughing my head off because Sam Ellinger is going to take him out in camp.
See, I either take Paris Johnson Jr. or Jalen Carter here or trade down.
I was 100%. You know, I think you would build a hell of a team, Danny. TD Live, baby. Live on draft day. 2023 NFL draft, pick 4. Indianapolis Colts, baby. Woo!
And we got last season, we got to see Matt Ryan's career ended with the lack of protection. I think the Colts at some point have to address this offensive line.
Yeah, the 3rd round. They continue to get their guys killed. Well, you know, Matt Eberflus, not Eberflus. They got the kid coming over from Philly. What's his name? Their offensive coordinator, Steichen.
Yeah, Shane
Steichen. I would expect Richardson to come in here and run similar to what we saw with Hurts.
I got the price on the pick. It's going to cost the Texans the 12th overall pick, a 2024 first rounder that they acquired from Cleveland in the Watson deal, um, and also the 33rd overall pick of this year and a 2024 third rounder. The Cardinals have sent Houston the third overall pick and the 105th pick in this year's draft. So a severe
I'm pulling
overpay to
my
go get
hair
Will
out.
Anderson.
I gotta give it to the Cards, baby.
The
I
Cardinals
gotta
did the
give
right
it to
thing
the
there.
Cards. They absolutely fleeced them. I just gotta sit here and I gotta think to myself, if I wanted Will Anderson that bad, I'm picking at 12 already. Do I have that big of a difference between Richardson, Stroud, Levis, and being able to pick one of those up at 12 or potentially giving up less to jump up to 7 or 8?
Well, at this point, it's going to be interesting if Nolan Smith falls to the 12th position. Would you have rather just held on to your future assets, taking Nolan Smith
Yes.
at 12 and march that way? I mean, it really doesn't equate when it comes down to Jimmy Johnson's value chart that everybody tends to love.
I can't. No, that was Houston proving why they continue to be bottom feeders.
Absolutely. And Davis Mills is all smiles over in
I'm
Houston.
going Richardson here. That's my pick. Anthony Richardson coming in, run the RPO day one. Richardson and Taylor, two big time athletes in the backfield. What do you
Let's see
think?
where
Who do
they
you
go.
got?
I think they take Levis. Anthony Richardson.
Richardson's
There
a
you
pick,
go.
baby. Oh, you hear it here
A big
first, baby.
athlete. Can Sam beat him out? Yeah.
Well, you got a 50% passer here. He's not very polished. Great athlete.
He helps take care of that offensive line deficiency.
Does it? Or does it just get this kid getting his head knocked off?
To an extent, at least he's mobile. But if they had taken a guy like C.J. Stroud there at 4, obviously he's off the board. I think they would have been in a much worse position to getting a mobile quarterback at this juncture.
So when we talked back mid-season, we were talking about the college game, and we had a conversation. He asked me about who I thought might be a good quarterback.
Draft riser.
Yeah, well, end of first, early second type is where I was looking at Richardson as a ceiling, a 4th overall with what this kid put on tape. Great athlete, but again, just shocking here to see him going 4 overall.
Well,
With 3 quarterbacks in the top 4 and Will Anderson, I got to think that the biggest winner in today's draft is the Seattle Seahawks. Jalen Carter falling into their lap.
I would say it also looks pretty smart if you're the Baltimore Ravens and taking care of Lamar Jackson.
Earlier today, 260 million, 255. He has big arm, great talent, but again, 50%, never really won in college. He could turn out to be the next Josh Allen, come in first year, look terrible. Year 2, start to look like an average quarterback. Year 3, 4, and 5, an MVP candidate. But there's a lot of development. Hearing him talk, he seems to have a good head on his shoulders. He seems to really have taken the discipline and some of the lessons from his mother. And I think that he might come in and really work, which I did like to hear. But still, I just think there's a long way for him to go to be playing in the NFL.
This was a guy that could have used another year in college, but when you got teams that are, buying you based on potential going 4th overall, you got to leave.
Whoop.
You got to leave. But he really is somebody that could have benefited from another year, honing his passing skills. The one thing that concerns me with him a bit is when you talk to Florida fans, they really didn't see any improvement over the years. They said he came in extremely raw, didn't see much refinement or improvement. So we'll see if he's able to take it to the next level or if he's a guy that's just an athletic freak that can make the big time play but lacks the in-between.
Setting up the board here, coming in at 5. We have the Seahawks, about 5 minutes left on the clock here. Thursday, day 1. Pick 6, we got the Lions. Pick 7, we got the Las Vegas Raiders.
So Seattle's in the driver's seat here. They signed Geno to a short-term deal. Obviously paid him quite well, the NFL's comeback player of the year. But they could either go Will Levis, which I certainly wouldn't, or you trade down because unless the team is high on Hooker, if somebody wants to get that last QB available here in the first round, they're going to be moving up. So I'd sell this pick to the highest bidder.
I go Jalen Carter here at 5. I go Jalen Carter. I'm saying I'm getting the number 1 overall player on the board. I realized there were some issues there kind of postseason with the car, driving away, police reports, things like that. I don't think the kid has any character issues. I think he is an elite defensive tackle in the NFL. And I think he is a guy you build around and you go ahead and you fire at 5 and you bring him in.
If I can get, say, pick 10, a future first, and another third, I'm still moving the pick despite Carter. But if I keep the pick, I'm going Carter 100%.
So I look
I
at
just
this
think
as
that
a luxury
Seattle's done
pick.
such a good job drafting that the more assets that they can build up, they'll continue to fill out a great
Oh,
team.
this
Tariq
is
Woolen
part of
last year,
that Russell Wilson deal. So adding Jalen Carter, that really, when you look at the deal,
they
that's one you
destroyed.
put in and you say, hey, Denver, I think we won the trade. So I
Yeah.
think that has a little to do with making the pick here.
And what's awesome about Russell Wilson, he didn't realize he pigeonholed himself, but he had told everybody the only team he wants to get traded to was Denver. He won't go anywhere else. He had a no trade clause. So that way Seattle was able to bargain and get even more, knowing that this is the only place he can go, and Denver's going to have to pay up big for him, or Russ can retire. So,
and we just saw Rodgers pull the same thing.
Absolutely.
Screwing over the teams you go to. It's great.
Now, what do you think about Mac Jones? Does he get dealt this weekend?
The team that I thought would have been in play for Mac would have been the second round pick to the Texans. And again, with what we saw the Texans just give up, would that have been a better deal than they made?
Most likely, yeah.
Because they gave up a heck of a lot more than that to go essentially bring in Stroud and Anderson.
And the reason
I say no.
Mac is
I don't think so.
If he's on the board at the Patriots pick, do you think they pull the trigger, or?
I think Mac's their guy. I think you're going to have an open competition between Mac and Zappy. I've been on record before saying I didn't like the window with Mac when we brought him in. I didn't think the team would be ready with what they had in their rookie deal to actually build a contender. And you're looking at paying them 30 to 40 million before you have a real team around them. And
yeah,
I think
but that was
that's
before that they had made those great signings of Aguilar, Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith,
Bourne, we could keep going here. That was
exactly.
a heck of a class.
That
Jalen
really
Mills.
how you felt about
they brought in some superstars.
When they paid $100+ million on those great players.
No, but I think you have an open competition between Mac and Zappy. I think Mac will probably end up coming out on top. I think they're going to say, well, we need to have Bill O'Brien. I think Matt Patricia really got scapegoated last year. I don't think he did as bad as people like to put on him. That offense had a lot of fumbles. They had a lot of sacks, a lot of turnovers. And people just tended to say, oh, well, it's Matt's fault. And it's like, I don't think it was Matt's fault for Jacoby Myers throwing the ball over his head to lose in Las Vegas in a tie game.
But sometimes that is discipline. And if guys don't have structure and they're not overly concerned with their own responsibilities, they'll start to throw caution to the wind. And they just looked like a team that wasn't well coached last year offensively whatsoever.
I think some of it, when you look at what the Pats did this offseason, they said no thank you to Myers at $11 million. They brought Juju Smith in for $11 million. They looked at Smith as an upgrade over Myers right there. And again, I'm not sure I'm paying Juju that type of money, so we'll see how that works out for him. But that's another deal I'd probably say no thank you to.
Now, how many receivers would you say you would take in the first round comfortably? I would take Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Oh, absolutely. I'm shocked he's not looking at a top 10 pick.
I'd consider Quentin Johnston. And I'd consider Jordan Addison.
Did I hear he did not get invited to the green room tonight?
Who's that?
I heard that Quentin did not get invited to the green room. They were not sure he'd be a first round pick.
First round pick, exactly.
So,
I have one
just the
first
fact
round grade on a receiver, that's Jackson Smith and Jigba, and then I have Zay Flowers as a third round pick. I have Quentin Johnston as a late first, early second, and the same for Jordan Addison.
So I got to say, I feel comfortable saying Addison will be a first round pick, seeing some of the first round receivers in the past, like John Dotson going 26 to the Redskins, I believe, or as we like to call them, the Commanders these days. But I think we see at least two. I'm going to say at least three. I think we will see a third first round wide receiver here tonight. So I would say 3. If it was 3.5, I go under. At 2.5, I go over.
And a quick word from our sponsor, TD Live 2023 draft coverage is brought to you by Coors Light. Thank you, Coors, and we appreciate your support.
I would just like to verify that we are sponsoring Coors Light tonight. Coors Light is not paying us for the broadcasting advertisements. We paid them to get the can to be able to be cool on the show, baby. Woo!
And it's nice to have good partners in Coors Light over there.
Hey, Coors, give us a shout out on your throw up a link, baby.
Absolutely.
So the pick is in here for the Seahawks. So
What's your final guess here?
I'm going Jalen Carter. It's going to be somewhere on that defensive line.
Carter.
Do they value interior or pass rush? I'm going Jalen Carter.
Gonzalez. If it ain't Jalen Carter. Devin Witherspoon. So I was all right with the corner. I went with the wrong guy. Out of Illinois. Didn't play college or didn't play football until his junior year of high school.
Great athlete, but too high. Too high.
I would have taken Christian Gonzalez over him, but this kid can play.
Yeah,
and now
you hit last year.
You got Quandre Diggs back there at safety. They're starting to build an elite secondary.
Yeah, you hit last year on a late round pick at corner. Could have been defensive rookie of the year there. But to me, if you're taking him, I would have liked to move back. I'm surprised here. That pick surprises me.
Just a little small, in my opinion, and he is good. But I thought Christian Gonzalez was a better corner out of Oregon. We'll see if the Lions take him next to replace Jeffrey Okudah, who they had traded.
Just look at it. And you look at these first-round top 10 cornerbacks. It's hard to hit. These kids are, again, misses more often than not. And I'm just looking at it as a fifth overall. I need to make sure that pick's going to be playing every week and being successful. Not to say this kid can't be successful, but I think there's a lot more uncertainty with him out on the field there. But
the one thing I like about him is he's a great man cover corner. I believe he had an 88 PFF grade in man coverage. So now that you got he and Woolen.
Specifically, I look at the NFC West and I see the San Francisco 49ers. How does he match up with Debo?
I don't know if anybody matches up with Debo.
Well, I think that's what you're looking at here. If I'm taking a corner top 5, that's who I'm trying to figure out how I'm matching up with. 5'11", 180. I'm not sure this is my guy.
No, I would have taken.
I don't like the pick.
Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon was my number 1 corner. I had seen Witherspoon mocked frequently, but the highest I had seen him was number 6 to Detroit. I did think that they might have taken a corner there, and of course they did, but to take Devin Witherspoon over Jalen Carter, in my opinion, is a major mistake.
I'm telling you right now, if the Lions come away with Jalen Carter here, I am going to join in on the Lions bandwagon. After Penei Sewell, they got Jamison Williams. I love their picks every year if they go Jalen Carter. What they've done in the last 3 to 4 years, they're building something in Detroit.
See, I wouldn't mind Jalen Carter, wouldn't mind Christian Gonzalez, and here's
if they go Tyree Wilson, I'm out.
And you won't like this pick, but hear me out for a second. I would think that the Lions will consider Bijan Robinson here.
I had said to you I would consider Jackson Smith-Njigba here at 6 as well. Well, the way the NFL is going, having to be an offense, you have to be able to score almost every time you touch the ball. You can never have enough firepower. Between DeAndre Swift and David Montgomery there, I'm not sure the running back makes a heck of a lot of sense. Jameson Williams going to be suspended for 6 games for the gambling inside the facility. I wouldn't hate bringing another wide receiver here, but I think Jalen Carter is my top prospect on the board by a wide margin. I would have been happy to take him at 1, and to see him at 6. This is the same situation we saw with Penei Sewell, where we said, Penei Sewell falls to you there, and you take him. You take him.
My only
interior offensive and defensive lines wins football games.
My only issue with DeAndre Swift is he's never had more than 151 carries in a season. He's an injury liability, and then he's going into his 4th year. So is this a guy you want to re-up, or is this a guy that you move on from after the year most likely?
Well, I think you move on from him, but there's plenty of guys where you can come in with a 3rd or 4th round pick at running back class. And you already got the bell cow in Montgomery, and then you have somebody to complement. And they're proving with Jamal Williams there, that offensive line, anybody can run behind.
I say a talent like Bijan Robinson has to be in consideration for all these teams at this point.
Do you think that he could fall to them at 18? I think at 18, if he's on the board, I would say yes. I would absolutely agree that could be a great pick.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think he gets by the Patriots at 14, but I think he'll be gone before that.
Ooh. we got ourselves a little leak there. We got us a little leak. He's
Well,
got
with his
inside
ability,
sources, baby. He's got the sources. Danny's
his
got the
ability to
sources.
catch
He's
the
hearing
football,
Bijan at 14 to the Pats.
I
You
wouldn't
think
be surprised.
you think
Yeah.
he's gonna get by Philly at 10?
It's tough because if Jalen Carter's there, how do you not hammer him with that D line? Bye bye Sue. Hello Jalen Carter.
You pair him back up with Davis.
Unbelievable. And just clean house. And you got Milt Williams. You got all the boys just rotating. So come back after you get Jalen Carter at 10 and get Keandre Coburn in the 4th or 5th round, another 350-pound guy.
You
And just
can
keep
let
rolling.
Fletcher Cox walk at that point.
Oh, man. Absolutely. No, we play a much different style football than most GMs tend to. They play a much more finesse game. You and I like to load up the box, get big physical humans, control the line of scrimmage. It opens up everything else, makes your skill position players look a lot better than what they actually are. And they're, you can replace those guys once you have the trenches taken care of. And we saw that with the Patriots, with Richard Seymour, Ted Washington, Ty Warren, year after year. You could just rotate in different secondary guys.
Big
Whether
Ted
it's Ty
Washington.
Yeah, I
Vince
mean,
Wilfork.
you're getting
Right.
natural pressure and you're stuffing the run without bringing anybody extra into the box, allowing your coverage to sit back and take care of business. So
what I'll say here is ultimately we have 60 minutes of a football game. These are human beings. When you're getting physically abused and beat on by a 340-pound monster for 60 minutes, let's cut the game in half and say 30 minutes, and you're taking 60 snaps from this guy. By the 40th snap, you're saying, I don't want to do this. This isn't fun. I'm not enjoying this.
I'd say you don't enjoy it at all, but by the time you get to that 30 or 40th snap, you've just about had enough and you're ready to throw the towel
Well,
in.
you find out what will people have. Like, I think of one guy, Logan Mankins.
Oh,
Was he the biggest or strong? No, but that kid he had a
relentless.
mean streak in him, and he was going to hit you with everything. He got every play. And if you weren't ready, you were taking a shot.
And it's like the boxing match last weekend, Gervonta Tank Davis against Ryan
We
Garcia.
got the Cards moving up to 6.
They come back and get Paris Johnson.
Lions, again, just getting more capital. The Detroit Lions.
Tyler Murray had asked for Paris Johnson. I think he gets him.
I think the Lions just are continuing to accumulate picks. 12 in a second, 34 overall. Fantastic deal on the line, especially if they're looking at Bijan. You stay in front of the Patriots, who we just had the leak about.
Or you get a big bad tight end to replace T.J. Hawkinson.
Well, adding 34 is fantastic.
Absolutely.
You come out and you get Washington at tight end and just increase that run game right there.
100%. So you're looking at two big-time players, and probably the guy you get at 12 is just as valuable as the guy at 6.
So we just look at the Stafford deal right there, adding a pick that was expected to be in the 20s to begin with. They got 6. Instead, they get moved back to 12 to add to their 18 and bring in 34. I think that's fantastic draft board management.
Got to be Paris Johnson. Yep,
Great
Tyler
call.
Murray's
Great
guy.
call.
Yeah,
Let's go. I think he was the best tackle on the board. When we asked earlier today, we talked about who should be picked in the top 10. He was one of the 3 that I had a top 10 grade on. So absolutely, he's a freak. Big time franchise left tackle. I think that's one you look at and you say, you move back from 3 and you still get your guy. Love the approach. I have no problem with them moving back up. They added additional picks from the Texans. Cardinals come out today as winners.
I agree completely, although selfishly would have preferred he went 3 to those boys. See, I don't understand how a guy like Paris Johnson isn't in consideration for the number 1 overall pick.
Well, that's it blows my mind. No, we've seen left tackles in the past, number 1 overall. One that stands out in my mind, Orlando Pace.
Absolutely.
Everybody jacked up. The Ohio State Buckeye himself. I think this he's going to be an elite tackle in the NFL, in my opinion. Great
Absolutely.
pick.
I think it's a really good tackle class. I wouldn't be surprised to see Darnell Wright go 9 overall to the Bears. You got Broderick Jones, you got DeJuan Jones, you got all types of good offensive line talent.
I wouldn't be surprised to see the Raiders come right back with the tackle.
I think that's probably why they moved up. But you got Anton Harrison out of Oklahoma, another guy.
Broderick Jones. I don't like Squansky. That's the only one I'm not really a big fan of. To me, he's more of a guard.
It's arm length.
I just don't see it. I watch him get destroyed by Lucas Van Ness, run over. What's he going to do against NFL?
Get run over.
The Oakland Raiders here. The Las Vegas Raiders here. Too many name changes. What did they do at the quarterback this offseason? They brought in Jimmy Garoppolo, the Italian stallion.
Absolutely.
Pair him up with Devontae Adams. They got some weapons on the outside. You know, who would your top 3 players on the board be right now? Top 3 on the big board.
I would have Jalen Carter, Christian Gonzalez, and Bijan Robinson.
We're gonna pull Bijan out for the time being. Who's your who's your number 4?
Jackson Smith and Jigba.
So I say pull Bijan out because he's just a wild card here. We've seen the NFL with the value of running backs. He's an absolute freak. I think Bijan could have been the number 1 player on the board, but just the way NFL values the running back position makes it difficult to
agree.
Actually.
I see a guy that could get 1,400 yards rushing and about 800 to 1,200 receiving. You know, get the ball in his hands, open him up. He can do it all.
We still have Tyree Wilson, who some people are very high on, not so much me. I know people tend to think Will Levis should be picked high. I'm not sure about that one as well. Looking down here, Oakland. Oakland. Just, I think, was this where you were talking about Christian Gonzalez? I think that could make some sense here.
I think so. Let's see here.
To me, yeah, every team that passes on Jalen Carter, they're going to look back in 2 years and regret it. That's how I feel about him.
And I honestly think that they have to be looking at offensive line if the Cardinals jumped up to get somebody before they could get him.
Well, the Cardinals were picking at 12. They might just thought they couldn't have gotten a deal. They looked at 12 and 34 and said, we're willing to pay that price.
Yeah, Christian Gonzalez or an offensive lineman, in my opinion. Jalen Carter should be the pick, but these teams aren't smart enough for that.
You know, I think he might end up in Atlanta.
Who's that, Bijan?
No, Carter.
That'd be a good pick.
I think they're going to go Christian Gonzalez here.
Yeah, he was my number 1 corner on the board. The kid's a great athlete, physical, can cover.
Well, thinking about Josh McDaniels, what the Patriots always had was a true number 1 cornerback. The Raiders do not have one at this point. Once you have that true number 1, it opens up a lot of different things in the defense and allows you to do different pieces. Seeing Weatherspoon already off the board, a little bit high in my opinion for him, but I'm going to lock it in here. Christian Gonzalez, Oakland Raiders, pick 7. Las Vegas Raiders. How many times do I mess that up tonight? 72.
Let's see here.
Well, this kid, Christian Gonzalez, who we're talking about, I want to say about 6'2", 207 pounds, running about a 4.3, fantastic body control, big time player coming out of the University of Oregon. Anything to add in there, Dan?
No, great size, speed, strength combo. Had 4 interceptions, 6 pass breakups this past year. Was a lockdown corner. The other guy I think they'll consider, Skoronski. We're not as high on him with sub 33-inch arms, but only allowed 6 pressures on 474 pass blocking snaps this past season. So a guy that did show very well on tape, but might have to transition over to a guard.
Not as much confidence, not as much arrogance in his play style. Jalen Ramsey coming out. Compare him to Christian Gonzalez.
Gonzalez is a little bit, in my opinion, faster. and not quite as locked down or as good of a hitter. So what I like about Ramsey is ability to play the nickel, come up into the box, can hammer people. Gonzalez is good, is physical, not quite at that level as Jalen Ramsey. I had Jalen Ramsey as the best corner that I've had coming out in the past 7 or 8 years, and the second best.
If we went back to that broadcast for the draft, Dan, for those of you that might not have seen that year, Dan was pounding the table for Jalen Ramsey, pounding the table at Ramsey at 1.
Yep, I didn't like the quarterbacks, Goff or Wentz, and then the other guy that I was real high on in the secondary, same school, a couple years later, Derwin James.
Derwin James, what a ball player!
Yeah, how he fell to 16 was beyond me. But Gonzalez,
we got the pick. The pick is in. The Raiders fans are getting rowdy in Kansas City.
And to think that the disappointment when they hear Will Levis's name, no. I don't think
we got McDaniels. Anything is in play.
Absolutely,
that is one thing I've learned from
Tim Tebow.
we saw what the Texans did. They have a former Patriot. What is that? Nick Caserio down there, right?
Absolutely.
These Patriot, the people affiliated with the Patriots there, and they have front office members that came with McDaniels over to Las Vegas. We could see something that you just don't expect. Moving Waller is a tight end in play. I know it's high, but is Michael Mayer in play here?
Absolutely.
I wouldn't be overly. I would be shocked, but not shocked at the same time.
The pick is in, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going Gonzalez.
I agree.
Tyree Wilson, my original mock, I had it right. They get him on the opposite side of Max Crosby. Chandler Jones didn't play the way that they expected him to. You get Tyree Wilson in there, try to get a little bit of more pass rushing over there. Not what I would have. I had him as a late first-round grade.
Especially coming off the foot where he wasn't able to test anything like that. They did clear him medically, saying that everything was healing as should be. I just, if you got anything there down in Las Vegas, it's the defensive end position. You're playing him in a 3-man rotation, taking your 2 best players off the field. I don't understand. Unless you're looking at moving Chandler Jones, I just don't get it.
That's got to be what they're thinking, because it really makes no sense to use a top 10 pick on a guy where you got $35 million allocated to that.
Well, you got Max Crosby and Chandler Jones, your 2 best defensive players. I hate the pick. To me, if I was going to be adding to the D line, it would have been the interior pass rush. 100%. Not having to play rotation. I get it's a luxury pick for a team that's not in a luxury position. And that's really what it comes down to.
Or you come back with a Jackson Smith and Jigba, so that way you got Devontae Adams and Jigba, Hunter Renfrow, and you give Jimmy G all the weapons so they can actually compete with some of these high-scoring offenses that they'll be against, like the Chiefs.
I'll be honest, I hate the pick, but as far as a prospect goes, I would have him above Will Anderson from a prospect ranking, positional ranking.
I have him way below Will.
I just think
fast pitch that Will has.
He belongs on an NFL field. The fit in the scheme, everything that they have going on in Vegas, I just don't understand picking him at 7. No, I have a local Patriots fan on the phone. We have a local Patriots fan on the phone on the hotline here. Hi, welcome to the TD Live call. The phone cut out. It cut out. I'm sorry. I thought we were gonna get a Patriot fan. I thought I'm getting word in my ear. They want Christian Gonzalez in New England. We have audio. I don't have it. We'll see if we can get the audio before the pick. We've had callers calling into the program here saying when we were talking about Christian Gonzalez on the live stream, they were upset. They said, no, he's supposed to fall to us at 14, baby.
In the chat, I'm seeing somebody saying that the Patriots are rumored to be tied to, let me see here, Brian Branch out of Alabama.
They also said, say a nice little safety there to replace Devin McCourty. They've also said in my ear, I'm hearing that they had also expressed that they would be okay trading up for Christian Gonzalez.
Now, Brian Branch, the reason that this person is saying he might be a fit for New England, best tackling defensive back in PFF history, only missed 4 tackles on 174 career attempts.
Yeah, but what are you doing with him? What are you doing with him in New England? Is he
McCourty.
playing the McCourty role? Are you 35 yards off the line of scrimmage?
McCourty, yeah.
35 yards off the line of scrimmage. I'm all set at 15. Find me a guy who can tackle 35 yards off the line of scrimmage in the 4th round.
He had a
McCourty worked out nicely, but let's not forget McCourty as a 1st-round pick came in at cornerback. McCourty's first year in the league, I want to say he had 7, 8 interceptions, a lot of interceptions. And then as his coverage skills failed, Bill shifted and moved him back to that safety position. To me, I'm fine with a guy like Deron Harmon playing that center field position. I don't need a top 15 pick on that safety spot. If you want to tell me he's going to be playing in the box, supplementing the linebackers and shifting more to a 4-2-5 type, I might be more willing to accept that.
I would have a 2nd-round grade on him personally, and I think that offensive line should be the focal point for New England.
To me, I would like New England personally to move back and accumulate more assets. This is a weak roster, and I don't think anybody there at 14. And I'm getting my ear again. I'm getting in my ear that we're getting immediate phone lines lighting up when we said trade back. They do not want it. They want to pick at 14. They want to add a player. They want talent, baby.
And they're all clamoring for Will Levis in our chat. They want Mac.
So I said it during the Raiders pick. I didn't think we'd see Jalen Carter going to the Raiders. I think at the Falcons here, the Falcons have really lucked out. Or potentially the Bears moving back from 1, absolutely destroying the Panthers, and having Carter fall in their lap at 9 could be a gold mine for the Bears.
And where does Brian Brisee and Miles Murphy, where do they land? The two
to
big.
Me, those are teens. Those should both be taken in the teens. Those are 2 big physical defensive line. But as we're seeing here, defensive linemen are only being picked in this draft right now for pass rush. You'd rather have a speed rush. Does Carter, does Nolan Smith go above both of those?
It's a tough call. So when you look at Miles Murphy, the reason they're not quite as high on him, 85.2 grade as a freshman, 79.1 as a sophomore, 79.0 as a junior. Let's see here.
But if you want to actually talk about that, though, let's talk about that a little bit. As a freshman, he had an offense that was capable. As a sophomore and a junior, they had DJ Ukulele, who was absolutely miserable, turning the ball over, couldn't stay on the field. That defense was playing 13-10 slobber knockers, and it was just a whole different ball game.
I think Miles Murphy has some Rashawn Gary to his game. I wouldn't hesitate to take him at any point. Brisee is one of my favorite players just to have watched over the past year or two. Absolute physical freak, #1 recruit coming out of high school. Hasn't graded out, as well as you may have thought he would have. But I think this is a guy with unlimited upside coming off the ACL a year ago. Wasn't at his peak as a junior, but he's going to be a big-time NFL player.
Do the Falcons look at Will Levis here? Is he in play?
That's the guy that I was thinking. I honestly thought that they were going to have Anthony Richardson on the board when this pick came around, and I thought they were going to consider him at that point.
I'm on the record earlier today telling you that Ritter's their guy. I said I could see them going another wide receiver there to add to Pitts and London. If they take Levis, I would be surprised.
And the pick is in, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, we got some special pickers here today.
They could use some secondary help as well. So a Christian Gonzalez.
Oh, they stink. They could use whatever.
Absolutely.
Best available.
The great pick here. We'll see if Tennessee is shopping Derrick Henry at all today. And you have to think Chase Young is being shopped a little bit as well.
Big time pick here coming in. Big Brothers, Big Sisters Foundation. Great people. Love the organization. Big fan.
Me too. They do a lot for people. Bijan Robinson.
Wow! The kid nailed it. He nailed the name.
Atlanta.
What a job.
Boom.
The biggest loser in today's draft will be the running back, Algier from the Falcons.
Yeah, he's
You had a 1,000-yard rookie back, and you come back with Bijan.
awesome.
That will help out Ritter.
Absolutely. No, this kid is spectacular. Such a good kid. Unbelievably athletic. Can change direction. Physical freak. Needs to improve his long speed. That's the only critique I could give him. But he's going to be big time.
I play in a fantasy league with Dan. My first overall pick, no matter what number I'm picking at, if he's on the board, I'm going Bijan Robinson. For you fantasy players out there, this kid is going to be a fantasy superstar.
Absolutely.
Think Saquon Barkley, but with good knees.
Absolutely.
Bears trade to the Eagles. Bears continuing to accumulate draft capital. Who are the Eagles trading up for Carter? They're trading up for Carter. They're bringing the boys back together. Carter and Davis. Oh, mountain of a man. Davis is one of my favorite football players out there.
You gotta love this pick for the Falcons.
A little bit of a luxury pick, if I do say so myself. But I think they're looking at the NFC South saying, we can run the ball. We can play conservative football. And we got the Falcons, we got the Saints, and we got the Panthers, and we got the Bucks.
Well, they're going to be a tough team to stop.
They're going to be a playoff team.
Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson, those are some tough skill position guys to match up with.
And you got Cordero Patterson. NFC South champion, Atlanta Falcons. They're back, baby. It's Ritter time. Rid of me this. Danny, you got to get the dirt. The pick, the Eagles trade. What did they give up? Bears move back to 10. What's the price for the one slot?
And do they take Jalen Carter here?
You got to think they have to move up that spot. To move up one spot, if you're not, what else are you trading from the Bears? Not really any corners. If you're looking at multiple tackles, there's got to be somebody they fell in love with. I just don't see the people left on the board who you're falling in love with to move up one spot. You think that the Eagles are shooting themselves in the foot for not trying to move up to 6?
No, I think that they're a very patient and smart team where they know they got a few guys on the board that they like. Trying to find this trade here.
I'm not sure what the Eagles do. The Eagles have a solid team. I would be looking here saying which contracts are coming up at the end of the year. Who are they looking to move on from in the future? And so the one that stands out to me, Fletcher Cox.
Pick 10 and a 4th rounder to move up to number 9.
Which I don't mind from the Bears at all. Add a 4th rounder. Pulling up real quick here.
Moving forward to this pick here with Philadelphia, you think about the veteran presence they have on the defensive line. It would be perfect for a scorer, a guy like Jalen Carter. Fletcher Cox.
Yeah, I think the Eagles, if they come out and get Jalen Carter, are making the absolute best move of the day.
It's Jalen Carter. Who else are you jumping up to 9 to get?
Gotta be Jalen Carter.
I'll pound the table here. You're pairing him up. You're putting him back with his teammate from Georgia. What a terrific defensive line they got there. I love that.
Their defensive line and tight end rooms were ridiculous.
Who did they lose? They lost somebody this past offseason in free agency. Hargrave.
Javon Hargrave, yes.
You bring him right back in, I would say, again, they get better. They're reminiscent of what the 49ers did several years ago when they moved on from
DeForest Buckner brought in Javon Kinlaw.
Yep, exactly.
And what an interesting draft we've had thus far. Running back in the top 10. Had a bunch of quarterbacks off the board. Devin
A fourth round pick next year. That's really
minimal.
It doesn't sound like a big deal, but to me, that's a good job by the Bears. That's a top 120 player. Continuing to add, and that could give them something where if they want to wiggle around the board, they have extra capital. And I think the Bears might be looking at Nolan Smith.
It's tough. They have so many things that they could add. I think they got to go get a tackle.
I don't disagree with you there, but they do have good picks here coming up. They will continue to have picks for a while. They did make some stupid trades, though. Chase Claypool does come to mind. Yeah, so both of us are on board with the Jalen Carter here.
Pick is in, has to be Jalen Carter. If not, you have to think they're getting a corner. Jalen Carter, what a pick.
The combo of D tackles they put together at 9, and what did they get last year? 13?
Yep. And they got the number one player back-to-back years.
Incredible to me what they put together. He's crying because he knows he gets to go play with his boy. He's going to
Fletcher Cox. He took Nakobe Dean. They've got an absolute surplus of talent on that defense with sky limiting or unlimited potential as far as the development. These guys could all be all pros. I mean, you could have Jalen Carter and
Jordan Davis
destroying QB after QB.
Well, the interior pass rush is just so good. It's really going to be difficult to do anything against them. And the Bears, knowing that they're picking at 10 here, you think you're leaning a tackle here?
I would take a tackle or Jackson Smith and Jigba, but I go get Fields some talent.
What tackles are on the board that you'd consider?
You got Broderick Jones, DeJuan Jones, Anton Harrison, whoever you like best. They get these guys.
What are the tackles?
I have them all pretty much in the 10 to 15.
You give me a name earlier today. What was the other name?
Skoronski.
No, one more. What? Was it Wright?
Darnell Wright.
Darnell Wright was the name you gave me earlier today.
Yeah. I could see them going here.
You think it's a little early? I tend to trust your instincts there.
I like Wright quite a bit. The only thing was they'd made a mistake, and I called them out on it 2 years ago, taking Tevin Jenkins first round out of
Oklahoma State.
Yeah, it's just, this kid can't play. But
give the people a little info on Wright. Where's he coming from?
Tennessee. He's got good hands. He can come out, great length, big kid, physical, athletic. I just think that the sky's the limit for him.
So from my side, I don't like Skoronski. Would you look at Wright as a right tackle or left tackle? Because I look at Broderick Jones as more a right tackle.
I think he can play either one, but of course, if you're taking him top 10, you got to put him on that left.
I'm seeing Skoronski listed as a guard in Mel's best available.
Because he's got sub 33-inch arms.
We've been saying that all draft process that this kid's a guard, and all I've heard is left tackle, left tackle, left tackle. If he's a guard, he's a second to third round pick.
Oh, absolutely.
You're not taking him at guard, top 15. It's just the fact that they listed it is the part that blew my mind.
You got Darnell Wright at 6'6", 335.
I think that's the pick. I think you're looking at him at left tackle, and I think you come back and you try to get the right tackle from Ohio State day 2.
Darnell Wright, top 10 overall recruit in 2019, first team USA Today All-American. Started 7 games as a freshman, started 9 games as a sophomore at right tackle, then as a junior switched to left tackle, and then, of course, as a senior, they start him on the left side, switched him to the right due to lack of protection over there. and he's just been outstanding everywhere he goes. Kind of a big clogger. Think of maybe a Trent Brown type.
And then I think Jones from Ohio State on the other side really protect Fields.
Yeah, but he might be gone to the Patriots. Because without Wynn, the Patriots are a liability on the offensive line.
Jalen Carter giving a shout out to N'Kobe Dean and Jordan Davis.
Absolutely.
Exactly what we were talking about. That's a big time pool of talent there. 6'3", 314. That kid's a beast.
Absolutely.
And you think about him being the smaller guy of the interior package.
I'll just toss that kid with the shoulder bar.
I don't know if people forget actual football. When I watched Georgia play, this kid dominated each day, each game, each snap. He was an absolute beast. To see him going at 10, 9, where'd he go? 9.
9.
Just shocking to me. And I
realized, it's like when
realized
we loved Derek Brown. Everybody else, we can't take him top 5. Well, why not? You're taking.
I see a lot of Richard Seymour in him. I think I just had a comment made in my ear here. He doesn't look like he's 315 pounds, and that's the Richard Seymour piece that I see is he's just a brick wall. And then you got Jordan Davis at 360 running a 4.8 right next to him. My
working
God.
off each other. It's going to be impossible to stop.
Seeing the teams like the Seahawks picking small, tiny corners, I don't get it. I'm not sure. And it's no surprise to me the Eagles get it right. Howie Roseman might be the best GM in the NFL.
He certainly looked like it the past couple of seasons.
He's the class. I might start referring to him as Howie the Bar. The Bar. When I start saying the Bar, it's Howie Roseman, baby. Remember that in future episodes. They still got pick 30 in Philly, too. They can come back and add Gibbs. Bring back a running back. Bring back some type of speed back. Plenty of stuff. Plenty of options. So me and Danny here, we got TD Live. Give us a follow, give us a shout. Facebook, Twitter, TD Live. Letter T, letter D, LIVE, tdlive.sports.com. We gave it to you, baby. The pick is in. Darn all right. Again, TD Live nails it. Offensive tackle, Tennessee.
Firing, baby. Yeah, exactly.
We don't have the Adam Schefter people telling us what's going on. No, we give it to you like it is. Some are right, some are wrong. We're putting it out there, letting you know. I think we probably hit on about 65% of the picks here tonight. There've been a couple shockers that just bad picks in my opinion.
Stuff a little early, going 2 and 3.
So coming up here, we have Tennessee at 11, Detroit at 12, and the Green Bay Packers with Jordan Love at 13. The Texans pick is in. The Titans pick. I'm sorry about that. The Titans pick. The Titans here, to me, I'm looking offensive line if I'm the Titans. I think their offensive line is overnight turned into an absolute mess. They could be looking at wide receiver after moving on from A.J. Brown. It was a train wreck. I might look at Jackson Smith and Jiba here.
I was saying that's what my pick would be. Either him or a tight end. And lastly, Christian Gonzalez would be in consideration.
I think he's going to fall. I think he's going to fall to the Pats. I think the Pats could be in play to move up there with Detroit. Or Detroit, Detroit could have been seeing what was coming and said, we can get our guy at 12.
And the Bears
I look at the Titans as a team in flux.
I love the pick for Chicago there.
You got Ryan Tannehill aging, mid-30s. Not very good. You're looking to move off from Henry. I'm not really sure what you're trying to do here if you're the Titans. All of the quote-unquote blue chippers are pretty much gone.
Don't tell me they go Will Levis as a Tannehill replacement.
Honestly,
You
it
consider
wouldn't
Hendon
shock
Hooker
me.
from home?
If they go Will Levis, that's just setting your franchise up for. Think about that division. If they go Will Levis, we'll have one division in football here with Trevor Lawrence, Will Levis, C.J. Stroud, and Anthony Richardson. Talk about those quarterbacks in the AFC South if they did pull that trigger.
Well, where do you think Hooker goes?
The Cowboys.
I've seen the Vikings quite a bit in mocks, and I'm thinking if I'm Tennessee, I might move down here if I think Hooker's the guy, keep him in state.
The pick is already in. They're taking the pick.
He's probably a year away, Hooker, due to the ACL. Tannehill's under contract one more year.
So tough to say here. I just can't see him taking Levis. You have too much money invested in Tannehill. We've heard the Henry talk. I think they make one more run at it with Henry. I think from that team, they need to build front forward. I got to be looking at an offensive lineman. That offensive line, like I said a couple minutes ago, has kind of fallen apart in front of our eyes. We just had a tackle go at 10. I think we have another tackle go at 11. Their preference. I'm not sure who they would have on their board. I'm not sure if we're going Broderick Jones. I think we see an offensive lineman here off the board.
What do you think of Isaiah Wilson?
What we just talked a little bit about it. Who are the other tackles that we had here?
No, Wilson was the guy they drafted who couldn't even make it to the thing a couple years ago, so I had to make fun of him real quick. But Anton Harrison, of course, Peter Skoronski is still available. Other guys that might be up for consideration, just considering the makeup of the team, would be Michael Mayer at tight end, I believe. Kalijah Clancy, a lot of people are high on out of Pitt. I'm not very high on him whatsoever, but I think you'll see him going anywhere from here to 25. A name that we haven't said yet that I think has big upside is Joey Porter Jr.
That corner. Very talented player.
6'2", 200, good hands, good ball skills. Only allowed 143 yards receiving last year at Penn State.
So I'm gonna go all in here. I think the Titans keep Derrick Henry. I think they keep Ryan Tannehill. I think they're gonna look to add a wide receiver second round, third round. I might say Skoronski for the fact that they could play him at guard, and if you have a big physical guard, a tackle essentially playing guard, that only benefits Derrick Henry. Get as much meat as you can up front.
What about DeJuan Jones at 6'8", 374?
Is that a first round pick though? I say it because I think about
pass blocking snaps. Then you got Osiris Torrance, a guard out of Florida, 6'5", 347.
He's a beast too. Yeah.
Season.
I wouldn't be surprised if they looked at one of those in day two. I think they're trying to beef up that offensive line here. Broderick Jones would also make sense.
Jones, Torrance, Broderick Jones, Anton Harrison.
If they intend to keep Derrick Henry. If they intend on getting rid of Derrick Henry, I think you got to go somewhere else. If you're getting rid of Henry, I'm probably trying to get rid of Tannehill. And I'm, like you said, I wouldn't hate Hayden Hooker here.
And the Celtics are up 1 at halftime, 68-67.
I'm kind of hoping we get a game 7 in Boston.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the biggest problem with NBA basketball, when they take a little blow and they act like they got killed. They flop and fall down. I've heard people tell me how much they hate seeing that. I have my ear. I've heard on the lines are blowing up again. And just so people know, there really isn't anything in my ear, and I'm not getting fed any information. What you see is what you get.
That's all.
The Titans pick is in. Goodell going on the mic. What do we got here?
Dewan Jones. Skoronski.
Bronski.
They got a potential tackle who will definitely be a good guard.
I think he's going to play on the interior for them, and I think they're going to continue to pound Henry, ride Henry one more year. I think with the way their contract set up with Tannehill, I think this will be the last year with Tannehill. And if it all falls apart, you're picking at the top of the draft next year.
And I had originally had Peter mocked to the Green Bay Packers, so he gets picked 2 selections prior to their pick, and doesn't get to be where his grandfather was, Bob Skoronski, a 2-time Super Bowl winner and 5-time league champion.
So this is a very interesting pick here for the Lions. If I said I at 6 might have been a little too high. If I'm the Lions, I'm taking my top wideout off the board right here. Whoever I've identified as my top wideout, that's who I'm going.
I think they take Christian Gonzalez to replace Jeffrey Okudah.
No, we have Patriot fans up here. They want him to fall to 14. We have 12 at the Lions, 13 the Packers, 14 New England. I think you sit there and you look at that division. There's no wideouts to match up against. Only Jefferson. The Bears don't really have wideouts. The Packers don't really have wideouts. You come out and you score more points and you win the NFC North.
Did I hear score more?
You score more points.
Absolutely.
Score more.
Danny Scormore, baby. Mike Vrabel looks very happy with the Skoronski pick. Gets a guy that's technically sound, mean, disciplined, smart. The only thing, like we said, are his physical limitations as far as arm length. Most likely translates interior to a guard, so to take him within the top 15.
Well, if you don't worry about the
risk.
arm length as much if you're playing physical downhill football.
Absolutely. Put him in
Your
at
arm length comes
like
into
Logan
play.
Mankins.
Really comes into play when you're trying to set an edge in pass blocking. And if you really are, if all your pass blocking is coming off play action, it's really not a big issue. Couple teams here. Lions with 2 picks coming up. Seattle, their second pick of the day at 20. We got the Packers, the Pats, and the Jets coming up after this. A couple interesting teams coming up. Couple interesting teams. I can feel the stress. I can feel the stress in the room.
I'm just getting back to a scout.
I know that we talked about this earlier. You thought Christian Gonzalez would be going to them at 6, so I think that's where your thought would be.
Jahmyr Gibbs.
Gibbs, unbelievable.
See, I thought they were in the market
Reach.
for Bijan Robinson. Gibbs is a tremendous back, but this is a bit high.
Reach. Hate it. To me, I talked about building a big time offense. I'm just not sure how you get all these backs on the field at the same time.
You know who he reminds me of? And I thought Swift was going to be the odd man out.
Yep. So the writing is on the wall. We did talk about that earlier, but if that's what you're going to do at 12, take Bijan at 6.
Exactly. But the thing is with this kid, so fast, reminds me of a poor man's Chris Johnson.
Poor, very poor, because Chris Johnson's about 0.2 of a second faster than the 40.
But he's a one cut and can go. He's very, very explosive. Felix Jones might be the more apt comparison.
All right, yeah, I'll take that. The cat?
Absolutely.
I think that's a gift. I think that's a gift to the rest of the league right there. That's a terrible pick.
Not what
I don't hate the player. I hate the
Christian
pick.
Gonzalez or a tight end there. If I'm not going with an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman, Brian.
I'm trying to move back again if that's what I want. I have no problem getting him at 18. I'll take a first next year. I'll take a first and a third this year. Give me pick 92 in your first next year. You have pick 12.
Yeah, this is a Felix Jones, Chris Johnson type back. Will hit the big play. This to me means Swift is probably out the door, heading into his contract year anyways. They signed David Montgomery, let Jamal Williams walk. Montgomery most likely takes over the Williams role and Gibbs steps in as the main back.
Well, I think they've shown that they'll play 3-4 running backs a game. I think they got a rotational piece similar to what I've said about the Raiders pick. You're bringing in a rotational player in the early first round.
And the Lions are fired up.
I'm not sure why. A
They
good
got
player. I
off
like the
track.
player. It's not that I don't like the player. I just hate the pick.
They're
To
thinking
take
they
him
got
at
value
12,
moving down, and
he's
they
going to
still
be a
got their guy.
1,500-yard back, or 1,500-yard back for the next 8 years to justify him being 12. The difference between him and a third-round pick is not 12th overall.
So does Green Bay come back with Jackson Smith and Jigba to go with Romeo Dubes, Chris Watson, and help Jordan Love in the passing game, or you get a guy to replace David Bakhtiari, who's been a little bit unreliable, and you can always build up that offensive line. Have Elgton Jenkins and Bakhtiari. If you had a DeJuan Jones, John Michael Smith, there are some options on the table.
I have a different question for you. Is Jordan Love the guy? Are we
No.
sold on Jordan Love? Do we say if Jordan Love has a good year, we're okay tagging him and moving on? Tagging him and dealing him? Is Will Levis in play?
Will Levis should not be in play.
It's not that he should not be in play. Is he in play?
I don't believe that he is.
So you think they're sold on Jordan Love?
I think you have to. I think you have to.
His rookie deal's over. You're back into a contract year with him. You're looking at giving Jordan Love $30 million next year, and your salary cap's going to hell in a handbag. You can reset the whole thing and realize that that Aaron Rodgers outplayed what you thought was going to happen.
Well, the thing that's interesting with how these quarterbacks have been overdrafted the past few years is now if you were high on a guy like Sam Darnold, which potentially the 49ers were, they're getting him off the scrap heap for relatively cheap. Then they can move the guy that they overpaid for in Trey Lance. So then if you were high on Trey Lance, can you get him for a cheaper thing and make him a reclamation project?
Well, I'd rather do
available at this point. Zach Wilson should be available. So if you're a Packers guy and you want to go bring it, I mean, so you got all these busts left and right that are available. Why would you go take another one?
Because that's our bust.
Don't go compound the error by taking another bust and Will Levis. It's just not good business. That's all I can say. Go get some assets. Get a DeJuan Jones, 6'8", 375. Get a Jackson Smith.
What about Nolan Smith?
Take a Nolan Smith. I mean, they took who's the linebacker they grabbed last year?
Quay Walker.
Yeah. So that would be a nice versatile thing. You're not going to have Campbell there.
I don't hate the Jackson Smith and Jigba at all.
I think that's the pick.
You got Christian Watson on the outside. You hit pretty good with Romeo Dubes.
And yeah, Watson's explosive.
I'm not saying they're gonna do it, but I wouldn't be overly shocked if they did go Will Levis.
Yeah, I just don't like Will Levis. Wouldn't be surprised to see a Dalton Kincaid, a Brian Branch, Brian Bresee.
Is Tunyon gone?
I believe he's on the roster. But a Jordan Addison, a Quentin Johnston, these are all guys that should be in play at this point.
So they do have Jair Alexander at cornerback. So I think the cornerback, it would be turned into a strength of the team, but I think that might be a little bit repetitive there. Devondre Campbell, Preston Smith, they have some backers. I got to look at the offensive side of the ball. I got to do something to help out. If I'm going Jordan Love, I have to do something to put him in the best position. A Broderick Jones or a wide receiver.
The Packers up to the.
I could see a tight end as well. I wouldn't mind Michael Mayer here. I realize other people have Kincaid. I'm not sold on Kincaid. I'm not sure how Kincaid's been put in the conversation of a first-round pick.
I see Washington as the number 1 overall tight end. With them having Mercedes Lewis, I think that'd be a perfect fit. Lucas Van Ness from Iowa. So they get a Kyle Vanden Bosch type player.
Hate it.
Too early, but he's a tough kid.
Average player.
Kyle Vanden Bosch.
As a Patriots fan, I got some Patriots gear on today for the draft.
I got my Red
I'm
Sox
excited
here.
to see him off the board.
Big
I'm
pop.
excited to see him. I did not want him coming to the Pats.
Mr. Ortiz.
This is our fucking city.
This is
Give me
our
one.
fucking city.
Our fucking city. Poppy time.
Kyle Vandenbach, this kid right here.
Yet. I've heard they haven't traded down. There's 5 minutes. They haven't traded down yet. So I'm surprised with that pick. With Van Ness. To me, I that's a kind of a shocker to me.
I had late first round, second round grade on this kid.
Maybe great interviews. Maybe they really like the kid. They think he's going to be a good cultural fit, especially after the Rodgers. He's a quality football player, just a little bit high in my opinion. With the deals that we've seen, I would have, if that's my guy, I probably would have liked to try to get down to 19 and had the Bucks try to jump up. Will Levis is on the board. You could have got somebody to pay for him. And this is where it comes down, Dan. Is Mac Jones staying in New England? Are they looking at Levis as the heir apparent?
Mac Jones type thing. Will Levis being a Connecticut boy, his offensive coordinator there at Kentucky, a former UMass star, Liam Cohen, who was a quarterback back.
We have a trade alert.
What the fuck?
I had said they hadn't traded down yet. They have traded down with the Steelers, which I believe is pick 18, maybe.
And that would enable them to take the multitude of players that are on the board, whether it's Broderick Jones, Christian Gonzalez, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Brian Branch, Brian Brissy.
I said earlier I'd like the Patriots to move down. If they wanted the corner, that was their guy to pick. They had him. They had him there. We had fans clamoring for him. But I don't mind this from the Patriots. Move down. They have a weak roster. Accumulate as much draft capital as possible, and they probably were going to reach on somebody anyway.
So they think that, or Booger's saying that he thinks Nolan Smith is the pick here. What are your
Well, I
thoughts?
think that's a great fit for them because you put him right in the Bud Dupree role opposite T.J. Watt, and the kid comes in and gives you more sacks than Will Anderson.
Turn him loose.
I got my cat up here on the mantle chasing lights. He's a hunter, baby. If a quarterback was a light, he'd get 40 sacks a year.
Would you consider a Jackson Smith and Jigba here?
Do you consider Jordan Addison? You got Kenny Pickett.
I'm not Addison as Smith and Jigba by any stretch of the imagination.
But you got Kenny Pickett. You get Pickett, his guy. We've seen this before. Burrow, you got him. True. You got him chased. He knows him. He knows all the. This would not surprise. Broderick Jones, big time offensive tackle from Georgia. I wouldn't mind seeing you go get help for Pickett, whether it's Jones, whether it's Addison, whether it's in Jigba. But you got to do something there for Kenny Pickett. Kenny P. Pickett.
Oh, I gotta love Big Picky.
You know what the worst part about this is? We had Broderick Jones just getting shown, and that would have been a great pick for the New England Patriots.
My uncle John, I've been texting with him, and he keeps saying it looks like Chris Gonzalez and Broderick Jones will be available, and he goes, I am ecstatic.
So 17 overall, we pick 120. So move back 3 slots for 120. I don't hate it.
No, if you have 5 guys that you're willing to take at 14, it's no losing. You get a 4th round pick.
You're looking at it. You got Broderick Jones. You got Nolan Smith there. You like him. You like Christian Gonzalez. Those are the top 3. You hope that one of those 3 fall, and you made out with an extra top 120 pick.
Hey, if the Pats come away with Darnell Washington at 17, I'm not upset.
I wouldn't be surprised to see the Pats move back again. We'll see who's on the board there at 17, but I would not be shocked to see them move down again. We've watched Trent Brown at that play that right tackle position at 380 pounds. Dawan Jones, as you talked about a little bit earlier, he's a 380-pound offensive tackle. It works. You get him pulling, you get him moving. That's big-time stuff.
Absolutely.
The Steelers pick is in. What are you thinking, Dan, here? You going offensive line or you going wide receiver?
Well, they traded
Or
Chase
tight end.
Claypool. I think wide receiver doesn't hurt, or Nolan Smith.
Jones.
Big Broderick Jones.
You would have liked to see the Pats get a little bit more there than 120 for that pick, because that's who had to have been one of the players on their board.
I
If you're
disagree,
paying,
because
if you're
if you're
paying
gonna,
to get our guy, you got to give us at least a third.
my thing is, if you got 5 guys on there, and say you got DeJuan Jones, even with Broderick, and you can get him a couple picks down, and you're picking up an extra 4th, why not do it? There might not have been other offers on the table. Might as well pick up some compensation if you feel like you can get the same value of a player a few picks later.
That's a good tackle that just got picked. I like it, helping out Pickett. The New York Jets.
I'm taking Brian Bresee.
So when you look at him, this is another guy that you look at with the Jalen Carter type build, 311 pounds. He just doesn't look it. He looks like he's 270 pounds out there moving around. He's just a massive human being. Great hands, great feet. Steady Bennett. So Stetson Bennett, I've been asked, we have a live stream question here. Stetson Bennett. So Stetson Bennett is in the draft. Stetson Bennett should be a day 3 prospect here. I would probably be looking 5th, 6th, or 7th round due to his age. I love steady. It's steady time. No more steady time. It's steady time. So you got Aaron Rodgers here, the New York Jets. You got Garrett Wilson. I think the Jets are going to be in the market for a tight end. I don't think they had brought in CJ Uzomah. Is that right?
Yes.
They had paid him. That really had not worked out. The other piece too is you have Sauce Gardner, Sauce Johnson, or Sauce on one side.
Sauce Gardner.
Yeah, if you brought in if you brought another cornerback, that could be a very lethal combination in the back end. You get him going against twos, drafting a corner at 16, 15. Whew. Wouldn't mind that if I'm a Jets fan. You could also pair Garrett Wilson up with his college teammate Jackson Smith and Jiba. And that would be a pretty dynamic duo as well.
So what do you do if you're the Jets here?
I go Christian Gonzalez. I hammer that cornerback position. You're playing against Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. You're playing against Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis. You're playing against. I don't have 2 wide receivers from the Patriots to list off. But no, I look at Christian Gonzalez and I say that frees up our pass rush. I would also consider Nolan Smith here, but to me, I think if you have those 2 type of corners on each side of the field, it makes things very difficult for passing offenses. You got to think about the Super Bowl here. If you're the Jets, you're not looking at the AFC East anymore. You brought in Aaron Rodgers to make a deep playoff run. You're going to have to cover. What do you look at? What do you think if you're the Jets?
Honestly, like I said, and I'm higher on him than a lot of people are. I'd go Brian Bresee. I think #1 overall recruit coming out of high school, came off an ACL, didn't have the production that you'd be looking for necessarily for a guy at this point, only a 73 grade as a junior. But I think with his potential, with the makeup of your team, I think you either come out and get a Brian Bresee or you go get Jackson Smith and Jigba, because I don't know what's going to happen with Cordy Davis. You got Garrett Wilson there. You got to get Rodgers.
Corey Davis is going to be getting cut or restructured. It's got to be. I wouldn't mind seeing Bresee fall to the Pats, have the Pats pick him up, put him with Barmore, and then you get Wise and bring in Judon.
I think Nolan Smith, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, any of the tight ends.
So I think it's
I
a
think you
fit
got to
though.
build for right now and get Rodgers some weapons out there.
If you're playing a 4-3, Nolan Smith is going to be a rush end. Might be a little bit of a liability there in the run game. To me, Nolan Smith's more of a 3-4 outside linebacker. If you're
Yeah,
looking at 4-3 outside backer, I think it's trouble.
But get a Quinnen Williams with Carl Lawson, Brian Brissy, or Miles Murphy out on that defensive line. I think you're in business. So I'd be looking for a big bad boy.
Well, I think if you can cover too, I think it goes both ways. If you have that type of coverage, you already have some studs up there in the front end. You're gonna get Carl Lawson back. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind if I'm a Jets
Elijah
fan.
Vera Tucker last year to go with Mekhi Becton. You could honestly add a DeJuan Jones and just have absolute freaks there on the offensive line.
That's my type of offensive line, but I don't. You know.
But you got Brees Hall, you got Michael Carter, you got a lot of talent on this team. Garrett Wilson, of course, Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I think you're going to be looking at the defensive side of the ball. I think you have a lot of offensive talent, and I think when you look at it and you say Mike White could put up 20, you got to be thinking you're a 26 to 28 point per game team there with Rodgers. I think you're going to be looking
Smith and Jigba, and I put them right back with Garrett Wilson, and we start running house.
I love it, but at the same time, I'm thinking about that defensive secondary. I think you have an opportunity to really have a pair of shutdown corners, which doesn't really exist in this league, and you'll have them for 4 years together before they start getting paid.
It's just if I can get an Emmanuel Forbes in the second or third round, and that's why the draft is so much fun. But right here, I got to take best player available, and I honestly think that's Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Well, he's not getting called yet. So they just showed Nolan Smith. I had a live stream tweet. They give it away. Do you think Nolan Smith's coming here? Or do you think we would have seen him on the phone? The Jets draft room, they are jacked up.
They are.
I gotta think they're going corner here.
You think they get a Brian Branch?
No. I think it's gonna be cornerback. I think there's too much value in that position. I think they saw what Gardner did last year.
Nickel though.
I just think you got to be able to match up with sets of stud wide receivers in this conference.
Christian Gonzalez is the pick then.
To me, I think it's a no-brainer. If I'm looking at trying to win a Super Bowl, I got to match up with Kansas City. I got to match up. You're going to look at the Jags as a threat now, seeing they're going to be adding Calvin Ridley to what they had already in place. You got some teams out there with some weapons. You got to have guys that can play in space. To me, pass rusher coverage.
So my favorite corner a few years ago, and it ended up working out well. I actually nailed this evaluation. Was Carlton Davis. I don't know if you remember. I loved him out of Auburn. And to me, Joey Porter Jr. reminds me the most of Carlton Davis.
I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind that pick as well.
And you got two guys that can play press man, and Ahmad Sauce Gardner and Joey Porter Jr., and they both bring attitude.
I just think from building a football team right now, I think their offense is in great shape. I think their problem was identifying Zach Wilson, as we talked about when they identified him. The kid's a garbage can. He couldn't make a 5-yard out at BYU against Coastal Carolina, but you thought he was going to come to the Jets and just light it up. It never made sense to me. The pieces never fit together. But I think you brought in Aaron Rodgers. If you're the only offensive piece I would accept here is the Smith and Jigba, just because of his pedigree and what he could bring to that offense. But I got to be looking at the defensive side of the ball. We got to be able to get some type of stop. You got to be able to stop somebody at some point.
So one thing I'm going to tell you about Joey Porter Jr. as well. His 40% forced incompletion rate in 2022 led all Power 5 cornerbacks.
Coming out of Penn State, he was a big physical player at cornerback. Played the ball, played the man. I liked him.
Yeah, I think he's a good ball player.
And he has that lineage. Joey Porter was a bad man.
I still want to see him versus William Green in celebrity boxing.
Oof.
When they spit in each other's face before the game, if you
We got
remember
a
that.
kid. We got the Green Goblin coming out. He's got a little suit on, green tie.
No, that's Zach Wilson.
Oh, it's Zach.
Yeah.
Great
Hey,
job.
there you go, Zach. You know,
Nailed it. Make a wish.
boy, Zach. You know. Woo! Get up, get up.
Good for you. Made
Absolutely.
it. Survivor.
No, I take that back.
Stickles.
This kid's way better than Zach Wilson. Hell yeah. Go get him, Kyle. I hope that this guy he announces is a Hall of Fame.
Stickles. Stickles. Stickles.
God bless him, man.
I like his shoes. He's got some sharp shoes on.
He's got a nice suit. He looks sharp.
AETS, Jets. Get up! Let's go, Stickles.
Here we go, Kyle.
DS, Jets. Nailed it.
Will McDonald of the fourth, a 24-year-old out of Iowa State. What a terrible pick.
That's a Jets pick. Oh my God, what an
24
absolute.
years old,
They
sixth
were
year.
hyped for that.
I like Stickles, but that pick was awful. Poor
Awful.
kid. Gets to come
24
out and
years
announce a
old.
kid who's going to be out of the league in 2 years.
Well, he made first team all big, and it's funny, they list him at linebacker. This has to be a lineman. He's going to get abused in open space.
He's going to get abused on the line. He's 239. He can't play either side.
He can't do it.
I talk about Will Anderson being small. My God. You had Nolan Smith on the board.
Unbelievable. Over
Did you see
Christian
the Jets
Gonzalez,
room?
Jackson Smith,
The Jets room was jacked up as could be. This was their guy. My goodness. Bust.
Yeah, no, he doesn't have it. He played in the Big 12. I saw him play against Texas.
Biggest winners with that pick are the New England Patriots.
Absolutely.
They just guaranteed
and,
themselves Nolan Smith or Christian Gonzalez.
No, and I had actually complained publicly that this guy should not have been a first-team All Big 12 selection in the COVID year of 2021. Just not the guy, you know. Yeah, frequently a 4 or 5 technique in Iowa State's defense at 236 pounds. He's at his best in space off the edge where he can be a speed rusher. He has a decent pass rushing grade, but his overall grade, 77.4, 69.5, 79.2, and he had 6 sacks this past year.
If this is who you want, trade back to 28. The only other thing I could think here is
I had a third or fourth round grade on this kid.
Yeah, no, I don't. I was gonna say you're expecting to be up, and yeah, to me, I would have. There's no justification. I just have to say that's a terrible pick by the New York Jets.
This way, our listeners can understand what they're dealing with. So, in his 2022 grades by game, 61.2 versus Ball State, 62.4 versus Iowa, 79 versus Ohio, 65.1 versus Baylor, 75.4 versus Kansas, 74.6 versus Kansas State, 59.7 versus Texas, 63.6 versus Oklahoma, 81.4 versus West Virginia, 75.2 versus Oregon State, 77 versus Texas Tech, and 71 versus TCU. So not exactly a game breaker that you'd be looking at 84 or at 15th overall pick. 84 pass rush grade, which is nice. But a poor run stop rate at 7% and a 70% run defense grade. So maybe you're thinking that this is a specialist, but the comparison I would have for him is a Julian Aquara or a Romeo Aquara.
If they took him in the second round, I would have said reach. This is a terrible pick.
Second round, I would have said there are better prospects on the board. You get him in the third, you say, all right, you might have something here.
You have blue chippers on. Nolan Smith was the first number one high school recruit. Went to Georgia, won a national title, played his tail off till he got hurt. Came to the combine, tested through the roof, and you're going a 24-year-old over him.
Well, I'm looking at it. If I have DeJuan Jones and I'm having him line up against this kid every play, what do you think is going to happen?
I'm going to run the ball. This is the New England Patriots are going to abuse this kid. That's from Ramondre Stevenson behind Trent Brown. Snap after snap.
Now, if you're the Commanders, do you consider Will Levis?
I personally do not. Is he an upgrade? I don't think so.
I mean, up until the hype, was he really?
Oh, Danny, introduce the cat to the audience. You just got up. We can't see the cat behind the broad shoulder. You got up, we see the cat.
We got Prika right here, but then we got
Prika.
We got
another one. What's this one's name?
My baby Bell.
Oh, little baby Bell.
You've met her
Oh,
before.
Bell. I would pick my cat up, but he doesn't really like when I touch him.
Oh, she's my bestie. She was sleeping, but I had to pick her up. Say hi, Bill.
Bell has made the cast.
I've had her since 2014.
What a good little oh, it's a Bell. Bell.
I named her after Bluebell Ice Cream, a popular Southern Texas ice cream company.
So the question here is, we have Chase Young, who has not had his option picked up.
I think they're looking to trade either he or Montez Sweat.
So do you look to add more defensive line if that's the case? Do you look to add another pass rusher?
No, I go get Jackson Smith and Jigba. I get the number one receiver on the board to go with Terry McLaurin.
Ooh, and you already have Jonah Dotson, who you picked up in the first round last year.
And that was a poor pick.
Yeah, that's where I was saying I could see Addison them going first round. Seeing guys like that go first round. Taking him at 26 and you pass on Jigba Smith and Jigba, you're losing your mind.
Absolutely. I think you got to make it easy. If Howell's your guy, you got to go out and get him some weapons. If not, other positions I'd be looking at. We've already addressed them a couple of times, but you got to look at the cornerback position.
We got big-time defensive linemen. Jonathan Allen.
Absolutely. Jonathan Allen. Deron Payne. I was saying I thought Forbes would go third or fourth round. He's a guy, he's very thin, has only played football a couple of years, but had a great season. Too thin for me. I had a third round grade.
So several years ago, we had Laramie Tunzel with the bomb. Was there something with Christian Gonzalez that we haven't found out about because I don't do Twitter?
It's because he had 1 year at Oregon as a transfer, and that's when he boomed. But he's honestly much better than Emmanuel Forbes, who's a good hitter, but is a $165.
The pick is in. The Patriots have fired the bullet. What a great trade down by the Pats, seeing who got picked. I'm not sure they could have planned it that way, but 3 absolute bums come off the board. Yeah, but the whole point of it is that we got extra draft capital, and if we ended up with any one of those 3, I would have hated it. Those guys stink.
They do say Flowers, or is it too early?
They could go Smith and Jigba here. They could go Nolan Smith. They could go Christian Gonzalez. I think those should be the 3 they're looking at.
Are there any offensive linemen?
I would look at more a second-round offensive lineman. I don't think that I wouldn't have any other tackles or the first-round grade.
I would. DeJuan Jones, 6'8", 375, 37-inch arms.
I think he's a second-rounder because he's a right tackle and a first-rounder. I don't see him at 17. I think he got blue chippers here. I think you got 5 stars. You got diaper dandies. You got prime timers.
To me, DeJuan Jones is Orlando Brown 2.0. I would definitely take him.
I don't disagree with you, but that was a 4th round pick. I think you can get him in the 2nd. I don't think he's going 1st round.
He should. He had
I
an
think-
a 72.5 grade as a freshman in 3 games, 86.5
I got
as a
Smith and
sophomore.
Chiba here.
To go with Juju. Christian Gonzalez.
Oh!
There we
They got
go.
the draft room cheering. That's who the Pats wanted all along. They were looking to move up. They got that guy. They got that guy.
Oh yeah, nice pick.
Adding to a secondary, I'm shocked the Jets didn't take him, and I'm shocked the Redskins went elsewhere. But things couldn't have worked out much better here for the Patriots, moving down from 14 and getting
So
my
I
top
was
corner
at
on the
that
board.
game, Texas versus Colorado, before he transferred to Oregon, and he was probably the only guy that was a positive on their entire team. People forget he was going against Jerry Rice Jr. in practice every day at Colorado before both transferred. So of course Rice went to USC. This kid went to Oregon. Immediately in this system, you saw a huge bump up.
It's a great pick. I've been down a lot of the Pats picks in the past. This is a great pick. They moved down and they got a elite prospect.
Elite athlete, number
Yep.
1 corner in the draft.
You know, I look at what the Seahawks did at 5, and it makes it look that much worse.
What a great job. Nice pick.
What a lucky job. They to me that should have been
No,
done
that
at
was
14.
calculated. That was calculated. They moved
That
down.
should have been
knowing
done
what they
at
were dealing
14.
with. They
Given
had
14,
guys on the
15,
inside that probably
16.
knew Forbes was going elsewhere and that they could get this guy here. Great job by the Patriots.
I think they had contingency if he did get picked, but I don't think anybody saw what the Jets were going to do right there. What a terrible job by the Jets. They
I'm telling you
backdoor.
right now, in my opinion, Will Levis goes in the next 3 picks.
I got Will Levis 19 to Tampa. That's where I've had him. That's what I've said. I think Trask in the 2nd round was absolute blasphemy. I think that was a big slap in Tom Brady's face, not loading up and getting as many weapons
I
as
agree.
possible.
But-
I think you're gonna have Tampa Bay bring him in.
I think Detroit will consider him at this point with Goff. 2 years left under contract.
So Detroit already adding a wide receiver. I wouldn't mind seeing them go running back Gibbs. I wouldn't mind seeing Detroit go Nolan Smith here, add to that defense. I outside of Nolan Smith, I think you got to go wide receiver here. Add to the plethora of weapons. So you would say calculated there. You don't think that you don't think they got a little lucky there?
No, I think it's calculated. Because I think if Gonzalez was taken, they were going Brian Branch.
No,
So I think they had
I
two
don't
guys
disagree.
right
There
there.
are other players that we like, but I'm saying from a if Christian Gonzalez was their guy, the picks that
Well, I
were
think
made.
you have multiple guys that you probably have on an even plane. So at that point, it comes into value. So if I like a ribeye steak and I like a T-bone steak, but one's cheaper, and I say, hey, they both taste the same, equally as good, then I'll take the one that's cheaper and I'll keep some money in my account to go buy, something else on the side. So I
Or
think
you
that's
can
what
trade up to pick 3 like the Texans did and go get a Subway sandwich.
Well, maybe, yeah. Maybe we're too
That's
hard
a
on
Will
Belichick
Anderson
after what
dig, ladies and
Casario just
gentlemen.
pulled tonight.
I just compared Will Anderson to a Subway sandwich as Danny's talking about ribeyes and steaks at pick 17. We got ourselves a nice foot long at pick 3. We dealt
I'm going to
up.
be honest with you. When I see what Nick Casario is doing down there in Houston, I'm starting to think Belichick might not be the fall guy anymore. What is he doing down there? I mean, CJ Stroud ain't putting you over the top. You should have traded down, but
I'm still not sure what this Pats offense is going to be able to do. But their defense was the strength of the team last year, so they were able to add to that. Who do you think is going to shift over to that free safety position? I got to think that one of those corners will be looking to move over to the free safety spot.
for the Patriots,
Yeah, think of Marcus Jones or Jack Jones or
I'd like to see
Jonathan
what the rest
Jones
of
or
the draft.
Jalen Mills or.
I'd like to see what the rest of the draft builds, but they have great versatility there. So they've got multiple guys that could potentially drop, and that's what's nice is also their safeties have the ability to play corner, which is why I thought Brian Branch would have been a great fit as well, a sure tackling safety that can also come up and play nickel. So, it is still early in the draft. This Patriots could come back around depending on what goes the rest, because right now we haven't seen a single receiver off the board. So at some point, those receivers are going to start going. You're going to see Will Levis. You're going to see Hendon Hooker off the board.
Well,
So
I
those
think
are
we're going to see Will
quarterbacks.
Levis at 19. I think we're going to see a wide receiver Seattle at 20. I think Detroit here.
You think Tampa's
Jackson
gonna
Smith and
take
Jigba
Levis?
should be the pick. Get Jamison Williams, build up around Goff. If not, you're getting your number one pick at tight end at 18.
I think
And you
they could
replace
go
TJ
Nolan Smith
Hawkins.
here.
Not a bad pick either. There are a lot of good options on the board, but you have to think you get your pick of the litter at wide receiver.
Are
Gotta
we
be
going to
feeling
see?
pretty
Are we going to see Nolan Smith be this year's N'Kobe Dean and fall to the third round?
Well, the thing is, I love Jack Campbell.
Well, when we
Iowa's
saw
linebacker Jack Campbell,
Owosu
6'3",
Karamoa, we
250.
pounded the table for Owosu Karamoa to get picked. He just kept falling. Comes
Tell
into the
tell
league.
me
He's
why
a
Sanders isn't a first-round pick. The Alabama transfer,
That's nice.
5-star, number 3 recruit coming out of high school, Texas boy. Goes to Arkansas, switches from DN to middle linebacker, had 12 sacks this year, runs a 4.5. Drew Sanders is a sick athlete. He and Jack Campbell are freaks at the middle linebacker position.
I wouldn't mind Washington here going to the Lions. You already brought in the running back. You bring in the tight end to help out that run game with that elite offensive line. You give Goff a little safety blanket. I gotta think they're doing something on the offensive side of the ball. Tight end, wide
They traded
receiver.
Hawkinson. You're probably going tight end here. If not, you should.
I wouldn't want Dalton Kincaid in the first round. I'm gonna say it right now. I think that'd be a terrible pick.
Oh, I wouldn't have Dalton Kincaid over Michael Mayer or Darnell Washington. Are you kidding me?
No, to me, I got Darnell Washington as my top tight end on the board.
Yeah, I do too.
I think
Kincaid's
he
a
gives
third-round
you
pick.
he gives you 3 downs. He gives you a nice little red zone target. Big time man. Big time hands. He's got paws.
This whole Levis thing is a big joke. This kid can't play.
1.8% chance he'd be available at pick 18. I had 1.8% chance he would have been picked by pick 18. This
Exactly.
kid stinks.
Well, I had a 1.8% chance if I trusted that people had a brain and were competent.
I just see the
Zach Wilson
scarecrow
going too,
out
all
there.
that muck gets thrown out the window.
I see a bunch of scarecrows looking for the Wizard of Oz, trying to get courage.
Oh yeah.
Which was the one that only had a brain? Was that the scarecrow?
If I only had a brain.
That was the scarecrow, right?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, that's a bunch of people here on the Will Levis train. Seeing him, his odds rocket shipping up. What did you say it was? It went up from 5,500 to 1 to 5 to
40
1.
to 1 to 10 to 1.
Unbelievable. People hammering money on Will Levis, number 1 overall pick. Idiots. Third, 14.
Jack Campbell, my boy.
He called it.
My boy. Hell yeah. I
brought
thought he'd
Jack
go
up.
late first round, 6'3", 250, fucking freak. This kid can
He's a
play
hammer.
football. I love him and Drew Sanders out of Arkansas. 2 big, bad linebackers in the middle. This kid is a monster. Absolute
There's
monster.
an identity. There's an identity in Detroit where
100%.
we're gonna bite your ankles.
I love that. Kneecaps, baby. Kneecaps.
We're gonna take you. We're gonna Tanya Harding you. This kid's a
6'5",
hammer.
250. Big boy, athletic, can hit.
Does Luke Kuechly come to mind?
He's a little bigger than Luke, but he's a hell of a backer. I honestly, a better Urlacher.
We just got fans in Chicago. We just got fans in Chicago. They have Urlach's name, baby. Oh! Sideline to
Well, the
sideline,
Bears fans don't
250
like me because
pounds.
I told them London Fletcher was better than Urlacher.
So this kid's bigger than a lot of the little rush guys we've seen. And he's
Exactly.
going sideline to sideline.
And he can get interceptions. He can play the pass. He hammers the run. He's very good. I'm glad because you didn't see this kid going this high in mocks, but I had just brought him up. Both he and Drew Sanders, to me, are lights out locks at first round.
So this is I have Will Levis going to the Bucs.
On the Bucs, I take Joey Porter Jr.
I've gotten to look at Kyle Trask if I'm the Bucs, so I might have a little bit more feeling to this. If I'm the Bucs, I'm going defensive line, but I feel like they're going to try to bring another quarterback in because Kyle Trask
I had
was.
Trask with a better grade coming in than Levis.
Well, to me, I had Trask with a terrible grade, and I would have got to see him for years in practice and been disgusted by what I've seen. Is kind of my thought. You pretty much hope and pray here. But I think you made a good point with the Sam Darnolds and whatnot, where you can get depreciated assets at that position. And if you come out with Trask and you are terrible, you're able just to kind of pivot next year and reload.
I'm going
You
to be
have so
honest
much
with you.
dead
So
money this year.
As a junior and senior, Will Levis threw or played 24 games. How many interceptions did he throw?
Let's say 17.
23.
You know, I just saw the Vandy tape, and that's all I need to see.
So a career.
I saw more than the Vandy tape, but the Vandy tape specifically was enough for me. You people want to make excuses. Oh, well, he played at Kentucky. Well, Kentucky's a hell of a lot better than Vandy was.
Well,
Tennessee had a terrible defense, and next week he came out, put up 130 yards. Let's not blame everybody else for Will Levis's lack of production.
And what did he have as a junior that made him be 24-13 versus 19-10 as a senior? He had Wan'Dale Robinson. Without Wan'Dale Robinson, the kid was awful.
When he was at Penn State, into the Giants, and he contributed.
Yeah, at Penn State, what did he do? Got beat out by Sean Clifford.
That doesn't mean that these teams aren't stupid.
Jordan Addison. Oh, our boy.
The D tackle. I think this kid stinks.
Me too. That's what I'm saying. It's the guy we wouldn't take. The Bucs continue to show why Brady was an aberration, and they've been losing his team in NFL
I'm
history.
glad Brady's gone. I think this he's a small D end who's playing D tackle.
They're going to compare Aaron Donald, same school, not the disruptor. Had similar measurables, but not nearly the player. This is an absurd comparison.
Aaron Donald, my ass, because he went to Pitt.
Yeah, and because he's short as an interior lineman.
I've seen it the whole time. The people have tried to tell me how great this kid is. He's not. He's going to get bullied. If I'm an NFL team, let's say I'm the Colts, I'm putting Quentin Nelson, and I'm pancaking this kid 16 times. Who's got a four-man line on third down is about the only time he's good, because if he's on the field first or second down, you're getting a double team or a pulling guard, and you're getting a 7-yard run. 281 pounds. He's a small D end. Short, small D end. They're going to regret picking him.
100%. That's a terrible pick right there. That's not a pick that they should be making.
We knew it was coming. It was going to be who took him.
You know, and that's the thing, is you see guys, similar to him, and the Aaron Donald comparison is absurd. To me, it would have been a guy that came from Texas named Poona Ford.
So Aaron Donald's a one-of-a-kind. They don't make him like him. I'd love to get whatever he took, because that guy is I'm not even meaning to say that Aaron took anything. Just, it's a different level. It's next level.
So I'm going to make this comparison for Clancy to Poona Ford. who's currently with the Seattle Seahawks. Of course, he played at Texas, 2017 Big 12 Conference D Lineman of the Year, undrafted free agent in 2018. He's 5'11", 310. He's a nose at 5'11", undersized.
30 pounds more.
Yep, stout. Great against the run. 164 career tackles since 2018 to now, 6.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery. That's the type of guy that I'm looking for in the middle. Not a guy that you can throw around, run down his throat. And yeah, he'll get 4 more sacks than Puna per season, but his value as far as helping you win ball games is not nearly as good.
Well, he's a liability on first and second down. If he's on the field first and second down, he's going to get double teamed, he's going to get pulling guards, and he's going to be 2nd and 3, 3rd and 1.
Exactly.
You're gonna get if you get a 3rd and 14, great, but that's a 2nd, maybe 3rd, 4th round pick.
Like this past season, Ford started all 17 games for the Seahawks. That surprised. 3 sacks, 35 tackles, 2 passes defense. The year before, started all 17 games as well. 2 sacks, 53 tackles. You can get that undrafted or late in the draft. Moro Ojimo out of Texas as well, late in the draft, will be just as good as a Kalijah Clancy. So I'm just not understanding what these evals are at certain times.
So we got 3 playoff teams coming up: Seattle, the Chargers, and Baltimore. Teams are only getting better from here. This is where I could start seeing luxury picks. This is where I could start seeing teams that are built up. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to call it. The Baltimore Ravens are going to get Jackson Smith and Jigba. The Baltimore Ravens get the best players each and every time.
If they come away with that to go with Bateman, Duvernay, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely,
every time,
Odell Beckham, then they're sitting pretty. But to be honest with you, they're also a team that a guy like Joey Porter Jr. bringing that dude looks real nice.
Be a good fit. Yeah, no, but whoever they get, they're going to get a good player. Every year, the Ravens.
Real nice. Darnell Washington to go with Likely and Andrews. Looks real. I like the way that their team is assembled.
It's every time I sit there and I look at the Ravens, I say, fantastic pick.
Fantastic.
He's right. They're right up there with the bar, Howie Roseman. Big time stuff coming here from Seattle. Big time stuff. I could see them going a wide out here too. You got Lockett getting a little bit older. You had good contributions from Goodwin, but you don't expect that moving forward. And you got Metcalf. Outside, they're kind of thin at the outside position. I could see Addison going to them, kind of fitting into that Tyler Lockett mold.
Well, I was thinking Lockett's more of an outside guy. Addison really runs the full route tree. You could line him right up in the slot. Zay Flowers wouldn't be bad here, but as far as what I'm looking at, to be completely honest with you, this is where an interior lineman on either side of the ball makes sense.
I never disagree with that.
And Will Levis.
I would like to see Will fall out of the first round.
This is my dream come true, seeing Will just suffer.
Oh, we haven't bashed any prospect more than Will Levis throughout this whole process.
I was going to say since Zach Wilson.
He's a two-star recruit. Couldn't get on the field at Penn State, and all of a sudden,
he threw a nice ball during open workout, so I should be impressed. No. 3 interceptions in his final 24 games.
I at least think the NFL is learning a little. I still think they have a long way to go, but teams would have taken Will Levis top 5 a couple of years ago.
You take a Nolan Smith, a Brian Bresee right here, a Miles Murphy. Those are great picks. A Will Levis.
Great picks. Again, the playoff team.
You get big Darnell Washington to go with DK Metcalf.
I think he's going to end up. I could see Washington ending up with the Bengals.
Whenever I would play Madden. And I think
that's a fit made in heaven right there.
Well, you either trade Joe Mixon and draft Bijan Robinson, or you take Darnell Washington, folks. And Darnell Washington with Joe Burrow is an easy 10 touchdowns. Then you're wondering how Black Gronk is working with a young Brady again, and it's like, yeah, now we get it.
Hey, I think the other team that's going to be interesting when you talk about some of the defensive linemen, you said Jacksonville Jags. I think that's going to be right up their alley right there. I think they got to get better in the trenches. I could say the same thing about the Chargers.
Well, I think the Chargers should be looking at a wide receiver. You got an aging Keenan Allen.
Mike Williams can't stay on the field.
Well, yeah, you never should have paid him. Of course, if Jahmyr Gibbs was
DeAndre
not,
Carter. They did okay last year.
Carter's about 30. I know he was a 5-star recruit when he went to college and stuff like that, but you get Herbert a big time weapon, even if it's at tight end. You get him somebody to throw that ball to. And that to me is the bottom line. What do the Chiefs have above the Chargers?
I think right now the way the wide receivers are falling, it's going to be who's going to be trading up to the first pick of the second round. Who's
Well, you're going to end up with Juju Smith-Schuster being replaced with Jackson Smith and Jigba with the Chiefs, and the rich get richer.
Or I kind of look at it and say, who's going to go get pick 33 and get the T. Higgins of this year?
But even when the Patriots would be, elite year after year winning Super Bowls, I'd be like, all right, we got the best pick in the draft at 32. Like, everybody that I would say should be money in the bank, like, oh, they're falling. Why? And it could be even a year where they don't take the guy I think is great, but a Miles Jack. I mean, just great players consistently available at the end of round one. So why would you ever take these luxurious picks when you can accumulate assets and add quality?
If Smith and Jigba came out of the draft after his sophomore season with Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, he would have been the first one off the board from all of them. He was the
number one guy on that team.
Yep, yeah, he would have been above all of them.
And we see what those guys do at the NFL level, so it's like, come on. The Seahawks have drafted so well that you have to give them the benefit of the doubt on the Witherspoon pick, but they really need to hit a home run with this one. That's why Nolan Smith, Brian.
I gotta say defensive line, pass rush or big body.
I take Brian Bresee. I mean,
you gotta be able to contend with the 49ers.
Accomplishments and you come together to get football careers. Now to make the selection, please welcome Destiny Uribe.
With the 20th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Jackson and Jigba.
There you go. Pete does it again.
Yep. No, fits right in, right what we were talking about. Adding to that depth.
Now you got Geno Smith with 3 great weapons. You got Kenny Walker in the backfield. You've got an explosive offense. With the lack of run on tight ends, you have to think Seattle will eventually come back to that. There's
there's been no tight ends off the board, and they got some draft capital to work with.
And there's 5 or 6 good tight ends, in my opinion, in this draft. Yeah, you get the number 1 receiver.
He's special. This kid's special.
He's special. Yeah, fantastic pick.
And those of you that don't know, his brother's playing Major League Baseball for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Good night.
I mean, just look at his route running.
A little shimmy at the line, boom. Catch, boom,
Create
gone,
separation,
touchdown.
No problem. That game what was it? Like 14 catches for
325 in the bowl game against a top Utah defense. In the Rose Bowl. Come on.
You can line them up in the slot, so if you want Lockett outside and Metcalf outside, perfect fit. You're going to have mismatches all day long.
I stack them and play trips and get them all on the same side of the field and let them all work.
I run anything I want with the talent of those 3. My goodness. I remember when Tyler Lockett came out, I was saying this is a perfect Patriot player. Great on special teams, elite, receiver. You had the number 1 guy here to go with DK Metcalf, Geno. Great pick.
He got punished because he took care of himself. And I don't agree with that. He got punished because he didn't come back and try to play hurt for Ohio State.
There was no need for it.
Hey, he got his NIL money. He wasn't getting anything extra. He's not getting a bonus if they won a national title. All that was going to happen was he's going to end up trying to get surgery on his hamstring and slip even more. He did what was best for him, and they punished him for it.
No, he honestly, like we said, was the best receiver on the team that had 2 NFL players that have been studs.
Rookie of the year, offensive rookie
Yeah,
of the year last year.
This is a hit. This is a guaranteed hit, and you got him at pick 20. Money in the bank, count it. This will be 800 yards at least as a rookie, and a
I
kid that
gotta
will
say, I
eventually
like
be a
what Seattle
multi-year
did with their
1,000-yard.
2 picks a lot more than the Lions did with their 2 picks. They're still gonna get gashed against the run. Can they get back up and get a Breesy?
I mean,
Do they
I
get the
think he's gonna be
second
good.
rounder?
I mean, I thought he'd go before pick 29, but we'll see here. These teams have been
Well,
interesting.
that's what I'm saying. Do they have the Broncos second rounder? Can they jump back up?
Picks like Jahmyr Gibbs at 12. That's shocking.
There were some shitty picks. The Jets pick at 15, terrible picks. We're sitting here now, the Chargers at 21, the Ravens at 22, and the Vikings at 23.
I
The
just have to be
Vikings, I
honest
think,
with
are
you.
a
If you told
perfect
me
fit for
that
Breesy.
Anthony Richardson, Devin Witherspoon, and Tyree Wilson got drafted over Jalen Carter.
Oh no, it blew my mind. Yeah, and that's why I sat there. I said these teams are going to regret these picks. Tough.
Yeah, Will McDonald at 15, Emmanuel Forbes at 16. That's just shocking.
The pick is in. Chargers know who they want. Really, a bunch of skill position guys, I think, here coming in the back half of the first round.
100%.
Kind of all set at the defensive line, at the offensive line position. I wouldn't expect really any of these teams to be taking a quarterback, which I wouldn't be surprised if somebody traded up to get Levis, but at the same time I would. And then I think you're going to see Nolan Smith and some defensive linemen with some wide receivers and tight ends here in the back half of the first round.
We got the Celtics tied at 113 with 4 minutes left.
Woo. Let's go Hawks.
Push
We
it
want
to
game 7, baby. We want a game 7. We want to see what these boys are made of. We want to see Ice Tray come up to the Garden in game 7. Let's see if Ice Tray can get it done against Tatum and the boys.
and then the Bruins lose in 7. Yeah.
No, we gotta have the Bruins win in 7. They gotta go to the cup.
Celtics both down in 7.
I would probably laugh if that was the case.
Oh,
Do you see that the Hawks had the arena double booked tonight? Janet Jackson concert.
Jackson. Absolutely.
They weren't expecting the Hawks to make 6th. So what are you trying to get for Herbert? I could see a safety here. Pair him with Derwin James. Probably not. Probably not. You got to get Herbert some
I'd go
help.
get Michael Mayer.
You got to get Herbert some help. You got Garrett Everett, who was nice, but
Joe,
their
remember,
biggest problem
you
is
take
Mike
the tight end
Williams is
for Notre
always
Dame.
hurt.
Perfect fit.
Mike Williams can't stay on the field.
Michael Mayer.
Zay Jones.
Zay Flower.
Yeah.
Quentin Johnston. Good pick.
Wide receiver. Yeah. Right
Yep.
along the same line. Just get him some help. That's the Mike Williams body right there.
Yeah, I had Quentin.
Big physical outside wide out.
In the draft.
He didn't get to come to the green room because they didn't think he'd get picked.
Big time ball player.
Mike Williams 2.0.
I think he's a little better after the catch.
I'm just saying, big physical outside weapon.
Absolutely. I think this kid at the NFL level, though, is going to be a lot better than he was in college. Because after the catch, he's going to make a lot of things happen, a la Andre Johnson. He's tough to bring down.
Big shoes right there.
Well, I'm not saying he's Andre Johnson. He doesn't have the route running speed or catch radius, but tough to bring down an open field like an Andre Johnson. Physical receiver once he's got the ball in his hands.
That screen pass that he took pretty much to the house against
Georgia.
Yeah, was it Georgia? Yeah, or was it
The game before.
the semifinal game, Michigan?
Michigan.
Little drag
big
rope.
physical kid. And of course, he was part of the recruiting class where they had the #1 receiver in the country, Quentin Johnson, and the #1 running back. Same year Bijan Robinson came out. Many had Bijan as the #2 guy, and Zach Evans, who's also in this draft, who transferred from TCU over to Ole Miss, was the #1 back in the nation.
Their styles. Just whack.
You like the pennant?
No, it's just these families.
Who do you think
So
if you're
that's
Baltimore?
two. I said we would have 3 wide receivers in the first round.
I think you'll probably see one more here. Minnesota also could consider one. Have KJ Osborne.
What do you think? 4?
What's that?
I said under 4,
What?
under 3.5, over 2.5.
Beautiful. No, I think the Vikings are going to be in play. Losing Adam Thielen, I think it's going to be Hendon Hooker or a receiver.
The Vikings could easily go Will Levis. That's a Kirk Cousin clone right there.
Oh, he's way worse than Kirk Cousins.
No, I'm not saying that he's Kirk Cousins talent-wise, but I could see them selling themselves that we could get out from Kirk's contract and transfer to Will. Convincing, brainwashing and stuff. We get 4 years at extra $30 million.
We got team control on Will, who people were thinking of going top 5.
Yeah, exactly. No, you get exactly where I'm coming
They're
from.
talking to themselves. Trust me, I've seen it before. Yeah. Trey Lance at 3, blindly trade up, and then that's who you end up with. Goodness. So I got an odd question for you, Tom. If you were considering evals on these 2 players, how would you compare Anthony Richardson with Trey Lance right now? As far as your GM that doesn't have control of either player, what do you think of those 2 as far as your evals?
So this is a tough one to say. I don't want Trey Lance anywhere close to my building. This kid hasn't played meaningful football in almost 5 years.
I was going to say 5 years. So. And
from my side here, I would rather put the time and effort into Anthony Richardson. From an athletic skill set and a arm strength, Richardson has the physical tools. I've said I thought he had good mental makeup, and his mind's in a good place from hearing him speak. He could be different behind closed doors, obviously, but from kind of the persona he's put out there. Not to say I don't like who Trey Lance is or what he stands for. He's just been through such a long period of time without any critical development.
Wasn't a big time recruit. Richardson was, lots of factors in that regard. But do you think Shane Steichen can get Anthony Richardson to where Jalen Hurts is?
I don't think Jalen Hurts is anything special. I think Jalen Hurts has a hell of a squad around him. I think the biggest step forward for Hurts was you had Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown in single coverage. You're getting man coverage and just throwing up. You got one guy running the Slim Reaper, who's absolutely a technician, and then you got the other one who you just throw it up to. You had games where you had A.J. Brown going 3 touchdowns, and it was, what did A.J. Brown do today? Oh, well, he threw 3 go routes against Pittsburgh, and A.J. abused all 3 of them.
Abused 2 people. Yeah. So you got Michael Pittman Jr., you got Alec Pierce. If you're looking at who's on the board and you're a Colts GM, of course, we're looking forward now. Do you go wide receiver first or offensive line for the development of an Anthony Richardson?
I look at Jones at tackle at the
Dewan
beginning
Jones.
of the second round. Yep.
Get a big boy in there.
That's where I said I don't think he's a first round. I think that's a second round pick. And I think you look at him trying to play him similar to what you'd see Lane Johnson. Not in the same role, but you have to have a big time right tackle.
Over Jordan Addison. If
What was
you're
that?
DeJuan Jones or Jordan Addison, if you're out there and you're trying to build for an Anthony Richardson. What do you think?
I go tackle.
Tackle.
Just because their offensive line was so abysmal.
So bad, protect him and give him a chance.
And I think that's a power game where he can help set the edge in RPO, where you get Taylor inside and him outside, which you have a mountain sitting there at right tackle. Which way does the guy go?
I think that you have a kid, Michael Strawn, 6'5", for the Colts, who shows a little bit of potential and flashes, just needs to stay healthy. So I think that tackle, when you get big linemen, you got to put your assets towards that. I think wide receiver is a lot easier to find. You can get Jacoby Myers. You can get, talented kids a little bit later. I think you got to go get blue chips on the interior.
Well, you got Cooper Kupp, 4th round pick. Let me bring in a little
Julian
audio
Edelman.
here. Might be the most impressive thing we hear all night.
Here we go.
Oh, did you hear it?
Oh, my goodness. I
Did you
couldn't
hear
even
it?
hear that. It was so fast.
One more time.
Here we go.
Oh,
That's the fastest I've
we
ever
might
heard
have to
anything
slow
in
it
my
down.
life.
Let me put it in slow mo. Cooper Kupp
Forever.
for life, brother. Cooper Kupp. Well, that's a 4th round pick right there. Cooper Kupp, 3rd, 4th round pick. As far as the wide receivers go, if they're not elite and if it's not a lock, I don't want them. I'll
Well, the
wait.
thing that's drastic for me is I feel like Zay Flowers could be a 1st round pick. He could be a 4th round pick. Yeah, he's a good player.
To me, Smith and Jigba, 1st round pick.
Easy. Yeah.
That's a lock. To me,
So I
could
look at
see
these big linemen. Go get your
you like good draft picks. Good, because the Ravens are about to make one.
Nolan Smith. We'll see. If they take Trey Sanders. Oh, they take Zay.
Add in. Yeah, it's every time. It's a good piece to their puzzle. You got Odell
He's so
Beckham Jr.,
shifty
you got
out of the-
Rashad Bateman.
Watch him out of the slot in goal line and red zone. That's his best asset. Well, he
you just
adjusts on
get
the ball.
more talent for Lamar. You got the Mark Andrews. You got Likely.
You want to
You
see a guy that is able to work routes in short areas, like I said in the red zone. Julian Edelman. He is so quick out of his breaks. He's not the physical guy, but I'm saying in the red, watch how he gets separation. It's like Edelman working little out routes.
I'm not surprised he's there at 22, but I am surprised at the same time. I guess I'm surprised that there are 3 wideouts taken in a row to get him to 22.
He reminds me a lot of Edelman.
Here's the run. Here's the run on the skill position that we talked about when we had the Bucks coming up. We had said Seattle coming up. There's the start. What about Minnesota here? Deontay Banks. What do you think about that?
Honestly,
still
I
Jordan
think what a catch that was. I think it's going to be probably Hendon Hooker or Will Levis, but this could easily be.
This is
Jordan
really
Addison.
the last spot I would even think about Levis. We got Jones locked up. We got Lawrence, and then we got pretty much prime timers at the quarterback position for the rest of the 1st round.
Oh, comparing him to Tyreek Hill, that's interesting.
I can't take a Tyreek Hill comparison.
No, 4.2 versus a 4.5.
And Tyreek Hill at this point is probably a 3.9.
Absolutely.
Like if we had prime Tyreek Hill go to the combine.
Now, the one thing I would say that he's like Hill in is his ability to adjust to the ball in the air on deep routes. He's tremendous at ball adjustment. But no way is he close to this guy. Like I said, he's a little bit slower in my opinion. Doesn't run as tough as an Edelman, but to me, he gets separation. And I wish they would stop showing his big plays and show him work in small areas.
I'm not sure anybody has the ball adjustment skills of Tyreek Hill. What
Randy
he
Moss
does,
did.
what some of the catches this man makes are just. He's
Oh,
a jackass, but my God, is he a good fool? I've said personally, I think he's been the MVP multiple times.
Absolutely. Well, no, this kid, I wish they would have shown a few different highlights. The thing that impressed me the most was definitely him working in closed circuit type plays. 3rd and 6, Phil Jerkovic was terrible to watch for BC. He had this kid open all day long, and Flowers would be so wide open, Jerkovic couldn't miss him. But everybody else, Jerkovic couldn't hit a broadside of a barn. So it's like, all right, maybe Zay Flowers is all right. But no, very, very much a guy that can make you look stupid. And you're going to have to game plan for him with safety help.
You want him? I think we got a good player, though.
We need,
Oh, Christian Gonzalez is excellent.
we don't have anyone.
Nice. Celtics up by 7.
Mock draft. What's the Celtics score?
126, 119, 20 seconds.
Are we
left.
gonna break it? I'm gonna break it. Breaking news: Celtics advance, play Philadelphia round 2 NBA playoffs.
Yep, absolutely. That's breaking news, ladies and gentlemen.
Minnesota. I feel like Minnesota has a lot of holes. What about Deontay Banks?
I'd go Joey Porter Jr.
Joey Porter, very good call there. I could see them going cornerback in Minnesota.
That or Brian Branch, safety, nickel, hybrid right there. Nolan Smith wouldn't hurt.
Where's Zay Flowers from originally?
Isn't he from the Baltimore area?
Okay, so he's going home.
Let me look. Geez, Jalen Brown.
I know he's
6'8"
local
from
at
Street
BC,
tonight.
but I know he wasn't a BC like a BC high kid.
No. Let me see where Zay's from
Was
originally.
he a Florida
he's
kid?
from Florida. Yeah.
Florida kid, yeah.
Maybe we could get a tight end. Oh, there's Wyatt.
Yep, Jalen Hyatt.
He's just a one trick pony, Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah,
Much like Justin Hunter.
Thornton.
Tyquan Thornton, yeah. Same thing. Who was useless at Baylor against Texas for years. So when the Pats drafted him, I said, what a waste.
Well, to me, the next 2 rounds for the Patriots should be focusing on the offensive line. Get big guards, get big tackles, add some meat.
So I got to say this. Lance Zierlein had Zay Flowers as a first-round draft projection, and his NFL comparison was Travis Benjamin.
The Burr from
Travis Benjamin in the first round, you should be fired, sir. Like,
what did Benjamin go? 4th round?
yeah, 4th or 5th.
Round?
And he was mainly picked because he's an unbelievable return man. Like
Special
he didn't have the
teams,
receiving skills whatsoever. Maybe they had the same build, but come on, it's ridiculous. It plays nothing like Travis Benjamin.
I would say the Ravens have a pretty deep core with Duvernay. You got Odell, you got Bateman, you got Flowers, you got Tylan Wallace. They got some good young weapons down there.
They really.
I'm not even sure you really needed Odell. I think they might force some stuff to Odell, but
no, to me that was a.
that was to get Lamar to sign the deal.
Exactly.
Cost of doing business. So you on record, Joey Porter Jr. I would probably say he's my top corner on the board. We've talked about Deontay Banks. I brought him up laughing a little bit because I'm a Maryland guy. And I said at no point should this kid be considered in the first round.
He's way worse than Raheem Jarrett.
Tested through the roof. It does not match the tape. Watching him play did not translate to what he did at the combine. I don't think he made one play on the ball all year. Maybe one interception on an absolute brick, but tough. So seeing him being brought in first round, a little bit surprised to me. Minnesota looking to trade out.
They are, absolutely. I think
pick
they
is
want
in.
Hendon Hooker.
The pick is in. They don't even got Joey Porter Jr. and Mel's best available.
He has Will Levis at 1.
Talent.
Yeah.
Talent.
Talent
Like
or
him,
lack
man.
thereof. What are we doing? Did I hit the wrong filter and get the worst
So,
there? To
so
the top?
Dan, give us a little quick summary on Dalton Kincaid.
Dalton Kincaid, too high of a drop rate for me and too little. Not good at the
Yeah,
point of
size,
attack.
height, weight,
6'3", 240.
too small.
Not a big enough tight end for me. I'd take Darnell Washington, Michael Mayer, Sam Laporta, 2 or 3 other tight ends over this kid. He'd be my 5th or 6th guy. He
I
had
don't
a
know where
major
the hype
drop.
came from. I didn't see a big time game from him. I didn't see big time numbers. He's
We have to
tiny.
realize, as a Texas fan, Utah has a ton of transfers that have come from Texas. Cameron Rising was a 4-star quarterback, wasn't going to play over Ellinger. Transfer to Utah has been great. Jaquindon Jackson, top 50 recruit in the nation, quarterback, 6'3", 250. Went to Utah, is their backup quarterback, goes in there sparingly. So I watch a lot of Utah. Dalton Kincaid is not a top 2-round pick. You get Dalton Kincaid in the 4th, 5th round, all right, we'll see if he's a decent backup. If you guys think that this kid's going to be an asset at the NFL level, you're drinking the Dalton Keene, Bill Belichick Kool-Aid, and it's just not going to work out. It's not happening.
We had one of these tight ends last year that we talked about. Iowa State, Charlie Kohler, who was
He got
much
hurt.
more productive. Much
Oh,
more productive.
6'6", yeah. Charlie
Yeah, he
Kohler,
was-
6'6".
He was what, a 3rd or 4th round pick?
3rd-round pick, had a lot of
Yeah.
injuries. They got
Yeah,
Isaiah
and
Likely,
Dalton
who was what, a
Kincaid's
4th?
supposed to be a 1st round talent. I just
No,
don't see it.
I don't
No.
see it. No, not happening.
Vikings.
Jordan Addison.
Yep.
A
Okay.
replacement for Adam Thielen. Exactly what I thought they'd do as far as receivers should be number 1 on their big board.
There's 25 of them.
Lost Thielen. You got Jefferson. You got KJ Osborne. Now you need another wheel.
So some of these mid-round wideouts, we're seeing a lot come off the board, but there's plenty of wideouts in this draft. There's a lot of talent. Guys like Raheem Jarrett in the middle
100%.
rounds.
Elite
There's
athlete.
a lot of
Fast
talent.
pitchability. One of the things that I also don't like about some of these guys like a Kincaid is he's going to be 24 by the time the season starts.
Seeing Addison play and seeing Addison at the combine, his tape did not match his combine numbers. His combine, he was slower, a lot slower than I would have expected.
Oh, he definitely underperformed.
He's a smooth route runner, though. So you see him playing at Pitt with Kenny Pickett and then transferring to USC and playing with the Heisman, Caleb Williams. Big time college career. Took a little step back last year. We got to trade. Jacksonville trade now.
We got the Giants moving on up.
So one pick.
They're going to go get a receiver.
Got about 19% left on the battery. Gonna see if I have to go grab the charger in a minute or two.
What do you think about Nolan Smith to the Giants?
You know, you brought in Kayvon Thibodeau last year. I think it would be a great addition to actually being able to set an edge.
So they swapped one pick there. That's interesting.
This is we've seen this in the past. You brought up the name earlier, Miles Jack. I brought up the name Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. These guys slide for no reason. You have some of the talented players that teams just refuse to pick, and then they come into the league and they're nothing short of spectacular.
Will Levis. Still on the board.
I love that Will Levis is still on the board. He should be on the board.
He sucks.
Will Levis should be on the board till about round 5.
Will Levis Levis should be undrafted. 23 interceptions and 24 career starts.
You think the Patriots take a quarterback this draft?
If Will Levis is available second round, he'll be a Patriot. Yeah.
Let's go, Will.
Yeah. Be my nightmare. Yeah. See, I'm starting to come back around on the Pats. I've
I
had
could
my
see like a
hiatus.
Stetson Bennett getting brought in as a third quarterback. Like
Trying to
60.
think.
That's okay.
You want to know who I
Someone's
honestly
around.
really like as a quarterback, and I know he's a late round flyer? Jake Hayner. I really liked watching Jake Hayner play.
Fresno State.
And he had Jalen Cropper, who was going to be a 6th, 7th round wide receiver, who was also a very productive kid. But no, I really liked Hayner's toughness. He's a career backup. He has a lot of Jake Plummer to his game. But I did like to watch him play.
So what are the Giants trading up for? What were the weaknesses of the Giants last year? Could we see them going cornerback? Is there a cornerback they like? Is it going to be a pass rusher? Is it? I feel like their offensive line. They could be
Or
wide
what
receiver.
you have to ask yourself here is, what is Jacksonville looking for? Because New York's moving up and paying them
I said earlier, I
compensation
think
for somebody
Jacksonville's
that
looking
they
at the
thought
defensive
they were
line.
going to take. They wouldn't move up one pick if they didn't think they were going to take their guy.
Or Jacksonville said they were looking at trading with Dallas and they tricked them.
That too, but I honestly have to think that it's a
Because
Brian
Nolan
Branch
Smith,
at some
if you
point.
put Nolan Smith with Micah Parsons, I think that's a great combo.
Oh,
I think that's a great combo.
No, I agree. I would think that Nolan Smith and Brian Branch are probably the two players that would help those teams the most.
Well, I got to
That's
think if
stability.
you're Jacksonville, you're saying to the Giants, we have Dallas calling to jump up to get Nolan Smith.
That, or we have Jacksonville calling to get Brian Branch, and they're thinking, well, we want Brian Branch. He can play nickel. He can play safety.
They've already done that, Landon Collins.
He's not with them anymore.
I know, but I'm saying they've already taken the Alabama safety, and it didn't go well.
Well, they overpaid him, but
Pick is in. I got to think that they did something. Jacksonville had to have convinced the Giants the Cowboys were trying to get the Giants guy.
oh, let's get the details of the pick.
A 2023 fifth and a 2023 seventh round pick. 160 and 240.
Is this where your boy Deontay Banks goes? How
Why
did
did
you take
if
him
you're
over
looking at
Joey
it, if
Porter
you're looking
Jr.?
at a corner, why do you trade up one spot? I realize it was a fifth and a seventh, and it's not really that bad, but at the same time, you had two corners on the board. Is there one that you really say is you're probably going to go Banks, and I'm going to laugh because I would go Porter.
Oh, I take Porter over him any day of the
I'd
week.
go Nolan Smith right here, and I'm bringing him right in and putting him right next to Thibodeau. And
The
I'm
fact
running
Nolan Smith's available at 10-24 is a absolute abomination by NFL evaluators. This is one of the top 10 players in this draft by
This kid
far.
came out, ran a
bar none.
4.3. And
Hands down.
if you got Will Anderson as your third overall pick, and Nolan Smith is there at 24, and you're the Texans, you're giving up all your assets to jump up to 24 to go bring him in too.
So what I'm telling you is sometimes I see stuff where there's a red flag with somebody, and somebody just wants to say, oh, that's not a red flag, so then they overdraft him. And I feel like a guy like Nolan Smith doesn't have any red flags. And it's like, all right, you know that he's going to be damn good. All right, so if you know he's going to be damn good, why aren't you taking him? You know, you don't have to prove anything. Just take the guy that's the obvious good selection. But guys want to be, hey, I was right. I told you they. Well, no, just take the guy that there was no issue with. This is a 5-star recruit. He won every year. Deontay Banks,
That's
Maryland.
what I said. I'd laugh at. I'm gonna leave you with Max for a minute here, bud. Hey,
Sounds good,
Max,
bud.
don't beat him up.
Hey, take it easy on me, Max. Yeah, that's a terrible pick. Terrible pick by the New York Giants. We've seen them take some reaches in the past. Congrats to Maryland for having a nice first-round pick off the board, but there are guys like Raheem Jarrett that were teammates with this kid that will be much better NFL players. You'll get him 2 or 3 rounds later. So very interesting. We have another trade. Jacksonville moving down once again. This time, the Buffalo Bills moving up. Ladies and gentlemen, if the Buffalo Bills come out and get a Brian Branch or a Nolan Smith, that is a home run.
Jags just piling up assets.
Brilliant. Doug Peterson is a great coach.
The Jags traded with the Giants,
Yep.
and then the Giants took Deontay Banks from Maryland,
And then the Jags said, all right, Buffalo, you want
and then
somebody
the
here,
Jags traded with the Bills. So they
And who do you
moved
think
back
the
from
Bills are coming up
24
to
to
get? A Nolan
25 and then
Smith?
25 to 27.
Honestly, a Nolan Smith would be perfect alongside a Matt Milano and a
The Bills
Tremaine.
need the Bills.
They got Dawson
I
Knox.
would say tight end, but I would say tight end. I would say
They
Michael
got
Mayer
Dawson
would be a
Knox.
beautiful
I'm thinking
fit.
safety. I think that safety or
You
corner. You had
lost.
Tre'Davious White. You got a matchup with the Chiefs. You got Jordan Poyer getting older. You got Brian Branch on the board. You got Joey Porter Jr. on the board. You go get somebody to shut them down.
I
That's
don't
my
disagree. I don't disagree.
that's my opinion right there. To me, your wide receivers are set. You got Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs. You got Dawson Knox
Well,
at the.
Diggs to me is on the back half. If you thought there's somebody there to replace Diggs,
I don't think there is. I think you go get secondary help. That or best player available, which to me would be Nolan Smith.
so they did extend Dawson. I wasn't sure about that.
They had a big deal for him, like 5 for 48, something like that. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's 54 million total.
4 for 54 or 5 for 54?
Yes, 6.4 this year, then 14, 15, and 15.
Okay.
So
So he
it
got
was, after last year, he got his contract extension.
yeah. Yeah, I knew they locked him up long term, so I don't think they're looking tight end with this position.
Yeah, no, I
secondary
was
match
thinking they
with
didn't.
Steve
I thought
Hunt, Joey
I
Porter.
was thinking Knox was in his last year here.
So you put Nolan Smith out there with Tremaine Edmonds.
But to me, every team that passed out, Nolan Smith is going to be one where you regret. You're going to look back, it's similar to like we see from some of the players we've mentioned, and you just sit there and you say, why didn't we take him? Why did we take Kalijah Cansey?
Yeah, I mean, Kalijah Clancy is a guy that is just a second round, third round tweener. You know, Marcus Pfizer, if you will. But
No, you're gonna have teams looking back saying like, there's gonna be a team like the Jets being like, oh man, we took a rush guy. We got Nolan Smith going 14 and a half sacks and our bums out of the league. Oh man. I think tomorrow we have a 7 p.m. start time. We'll have the second and third rounds. For those of you new to the NFL draft, the second round I believe is 5 minutes, And I believe the
It is.
third round we cut down to 2 minutes.
Absolutely. And I have to ask you, if Will Levis doesn't go here in the first round, do you think somebody moves up in the second round to pick Will Levis, or do you think the downslide continues? And I'll, before I let you answer that, I did think it was supremely stupid on Chris Collinsworth mock draft that he had Hendon Hooker going 31 to the Chiefs.
Do you think Will Levis's girlfriend dumps him after tonight when she realizes he's not going to be paid and not a starting quarterback in the league?
Had she been attractive, yes, but she's Will
Oh.
Levis's girlfriend, so no. They're perfect for each other. Two losers, perfect.
I'm getting
Very
word
good
of that's his sister sitting on his lap. Oh.
I had to put it in the
I'm just
chat.
joking. So the ESPN analytics are partially what I think is driving and what's wrong with all this crap. They're claiming 0.1% Will Levis. At no
I
point
just
did
saw Will Levis's sister say, "Oh, but you're Will Levis." I could read her lips. Like, that means nothing. That's all I've heard is he's Will Levis. Yeah, it means nothing to me. He stinks. You look at his work on the field. Somebody told me this is the best electrician out there, and I go look at his work and his poor electricity work. I say, this guy stinks. That's what a job interview is. When I saw Will Levis's evaluations on tape, I said, when you watch him play football, he's confused. He's not seeing the field. He's locked into one guy.
Who's taking him round two?
How is this going to project to the NFL level? It's not.
Maybe the Titans at 40, 43?
Yeah, but is he a better prospect than Malik Willis?
No, probably not. Yeah.
So where does this kid go? I just don't see it. You got Darnold up in San Francisco.
Maybe Texans at 50s.
Minnesota in round 3. I mean,
the Bills here. Joey Porter Jr.
Dalton Kincaid.
Tight end.
Tight end.
Oh, wrong one.
Oh,
I was saying Mayer. I should have trusted the gut. Should have trusted the gut, Dan. A pass receiving tight end and a big time pass offense, they don't run the ball. That's a good fit for Kincaid. I don't think he's a great player, but that's about the only system he'll fit into.
But he doesn't because he sucks.
Oh, he's a second tight end in a pass offense that's going to have 3 wideouts on the field.
Yeah, you pretty much just drafted Anthony Ferkser in the first round.
You pretty much gave yourself a contingency plan to Dalton Knox.
Anthony Ferkser, and what a ball from Rising on that throw.
I just kind of sit here and laugh. They traded up to get this kid. You had Washington
They show
on
him
the board,
blocking
Mayer on the
downfield
board.
on a safety like it's impressive. I want an inline tight end.
He's a slot receiver who's a big slot. Unless they're looking at using him like Aaron Hernandez, and I start seeing this kid take tight end reverses, line up in the backfield.
No, I agree. Kincaid I had as a 4th best tight end. For him to go first round, absolutely pathetic.
I think we're going to see a run on tight ends here. I think the Cowboys would be happy to get Michael Myers. Mayer.
Yeah, I mean, do what you want to. My buddy always sends me the boost that they get. But, no, the Bills, that's a major mistake. You got to take a Nolan Smith to go with Matt Milano, Tremaine Edmonds, or take Brian Branch, Joey Porter Jr. The Bills continue to stymie themselves right where they could get over the top. This is a big mistake here. You have 5 first-round tight ends on some people's boards, and you reach for this bum who's going to be 24 by the time the draft starts. I mean, season starts.
So the Cowboys have an opportunity to pair up a couple of their studs together. They could either pair somebody with Micah Parsons, they could pair somebody with Traquan Diggs, or they could look to replace Dalton Schultz. I could see Breesy on the board here too. Add to that defensive line.
Michael Mayer not getting drafted over Dalton Kincaid is a shock, and Darnell Washington would have been my first choice. Best inline blocking tight end. tremendous route tree, unbelievable effort.
I think it depends on scheme fit because to me, Mayor is one thing, but Washington and Buffalo doesn't really make sense to me because they don't run the ball. They just refuse to run the ball.
Yeah, but they took James Delvin Cook.
They're
And
still
now
throwing
on
the
the
ball
Bills,
60% of the time.
Call me crazy, I would have sent a second round pick for Delvin James Cook.
You know, I just kind of look at it here and I think the Bills traded up to get that pick. They're
And now
picking
they're
at
getting Michael
27.
Yeah.
So you have to think that the Cowboys are looking at tight end here.
They are. Yeah, they're taking Mayer, but
And I think they're going to come out on top with Mayer. I think the Bills traded up and got the worst
Mayer is
player.
by far a better player than Dalton Kincaid. It's not even close. It's not even close. For TJ Hawkinson to go number 5 and for Mayer to be here at 26 when Kincaid goes 25.
He's just sitting here like, are you kidding me? He went before me.
Yeah, I mean, come on. This kid is by far the better tight end than Dalton Kincaid. He's 2 years younger too.
That's funny.
Who looks more like a tight end to you? Kincaid or this kid?
This kid, he can actually line up. But I'm not sure, like, as we talked about it, I kind of talked myself out of the Bills getting a second tight end there. It really not needed. Joey Porter Jr. would have been a much better pick.
Yeah. You're gonna get a tight end. Get a tight end, not a little SWAT tight end. Stupid. This kid can block. He can be a three down guy.
Yeah, I feel like the shows, I kind of hate how the shows do it. Draft coverage needs to be better.
Well, they're just showing highlights of Jason Witten, and it's like this kid has nothing to do with Jason Witten.
Well, I just mean that, they need to do it like us. I don't have a phone. I'm not Googling or searching. We talk about guys based on what we talk about. It's not
Exactly.
based on what the tweet comes
and that's how I feel about the guy. I might not always be 100% correct.
I'll
but
give Jerry
I'm
Jones
being
a
honest
minute
with
here.
my
I'll give a minute of our podcast to Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones is a fantastic owner, a fantastic GM. And anybody that has a problem with Jerry can get bent, in my opinion.
They have this celebration every time.
It's his team. He does it his way. He's the last of a dying breed.
Did I hear that we have a caller there?
I have a voicemail service. I'm not sure how to
We
do
might
it.
have had an inquiry or a question.
I have it's coming through to tell me I've received a voicemail, but I'm not sure how to use the services.
For sure.
So I have the email open, but I'm not sure. Oh, let's see the audio.
Yeah.
Is it gonna play? I'm trying. Oh. Maybe play. We got the voicemail.
Okay.
0 seconds.
Was that for me?
Yep, I might have another one.
No, I just tried calling. I don't think it came out to anything.
I tried.
Get the W.
Yeah, we got 6 picks left here tonight. Cowboys, Jags, the Bengals.
If you're the Cowboys looking at things across the board, what do you take? I understand Mayer's somebody that probably is the perfect fit, losing Dalton Schultz to free agency.
I
I
think you have 3 options that I laid out. One is you're pairing somebody with Parsons, Nolan Smith. 2 is you're pairing somebody with Diggs, Joey Porter Jr. Or 3, you're going Mayer. Those are the three legitimate routes I would look at. You could look at putting a big body
and then
on
I
the
tossed
defensive
DeJuan
line.
Jones in there.
I don't think so.
Well, you got to think that Tyrone Smith probably out after this year.
Well, you've already you hit
on
a tackle. You had somebody playing for him most of the year.
Yeah, but Terrence Steele is going to cost money.
The fuck?
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a
big
surprise.
body. That was going to be the last one I was going to lay out is a big defensive lineman to try to free up Parsons.
Help the interior.
But
Ozzy.
to me, I'm not a big fan of this pick. I like big bodies, but the Cowboys have too many holes.
Big boy.
Fat boy. I like
fat
I
boy.
like the 320 of Jalen Carter. I like a lot better than the 323 of Mozzie Smith.
Jalen Carter would eat this kid for lunch.
If this kid got into shape, he's 285.
And his name is Kalijah Clancy, and he gets picked 7 picks early.
Yeah, big time highlights against Maryland.
Who do not have anybody on the interior. Yeah.
Yeah, not to be too critical because they've been good at drafting the linemen. So he's
They've been all
probably going
right.
to
They
be.
take a hell of a lot of them. That's the thing, though, in Dallas. And I got to
Yeah.
give them credit because that's the way that they are. They've missed.
It's Jerry's world.
Yeah,
He
they missed out
sees
a lot of
something in
guys,
him.
but they play football the right way.
We got Jacksonville. I could see Jacksonville trying to trade down again. See if they can unload Will Levis right here. Get some additional draft capital. Move to day 2. So the good, interesting part about the Jacks here is they will get Calvin Ridley back next year.
Absolutely. And just for our Dallas fans listening in, Mozzie Smith, as a freshman in 2020, is 61.4 grade across 4 games played. As a sophomore in 2021, 75.6 grade. And this year, in his final year, a 79.9 grade. So really nothing that's impressive whatsoever. As far as a player comparison that we would have for Mr. Mozzie.
I'm looking at the live user count right now. We're up to 262.
So on Mozzie Smith's evaluation, he was the top player on Bruce Feldman's Freaks list in 2022. Blends phenomenal size and power with impressive athleticism and quickness. After playing just 58 snaps on defense across 2019 and 2020, Smith started 14 games for Michigan in 2022 and played 632 snaps, finishing the season strong with 70-plus PFF grades in each of the final 4 games of the year and registering 8 pressures across the final 3. Their comparison for him is Dan Williams. So yeah, not.
You know what I like from Michigan? How they let up a 60 spot to TCU as they got eliminated in the college football playoff.
Yes,
Yeah,
and that's. I was going to ask you about that. Where would you take Max Duggan?
I think Duggan's a 4th or 5th round pick.
Yeah.
I think to me he's a backup.
Yeah,
Good
Minshew
backup.
type guy.
Yeah, you have somebody go down, you can keep the ship rolling for 4 or 5 weeks while he gets back. I think we've seen teams like Denver and what happened when Russell Wilson got hurt. I think you could do a lot worse than Hacksaw Max Duggan.
Absolutely.
Oh!
Oh! He was my favorite wrestler when I was a kid.
So the Jags have a bunch of skill positions.
The pick is in.
To me, if I'm the Jags, I'm looking the defensive side of the ball. I'm either going in the trenches or I'm going on the outside at cornerback.
See, they're an
They could add a
interesting-
safety as well.
J. Henderson, top 10, dealt him right out of there. When it comes down to it, I got to stay right at home and take Nolan Smith. I take best player available, Nolan Smith.
I go Nolan Smith or Brian Breesy. I think Breesy could be a big help in that team, that defensive front. Because you got to think here. I like Nolan Smith, but the scheme fit here. You got to play the Texans, you got to play the Titans, and you got to play the Colts, and they're all running teams. So if I'm looking at it, I got to have somebody that's going to impact the run game.
Just like I think I can come back a little later with big defensive linemen like Siaki Ika out of Baylor, 6'3", 348.
What about a Murphy?
Miles Murphy, Brian Bresee, Nolan Smith, Joey Porter Jr., Brian Branch. These are top-tier players out here that are going to be steals.
The randomest.
What numbers?
328. How do you know all that stuff? You
Oh,
study?
you gotta know the numbers.
You study?
I'm getting my production back here. Questioning the numbers. The numbers are the numbers. That's what
Hey,
the
I'm
numbers are.
impressed.
That's why we're good at what we do, Tom. Is because ever since we were little kids, my mom always used to tell me. I
This
argued with
is
a guy when I was 4 years old at my brother and your
live,
soccer
baby.
game, and the guy came back the next week and he apologized to me because I knew the guy's stats because I used to memorize hockey cards. He goes, "You're right, he did have 50 goals." I said,
What about Anton Harrison here?
See, I'm not an Oklahoma guy, so I wouldn't take him over DeJuan Jones, anything like that. But I mean, look at Mel's prospects, number 2, 3, and 4. Those are elite right there.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. To me, I would take any one of those three.
And not having Brissy over Will Levis to me is an embarrassment as far as NFL talent.
Well,
Really.
Will Levis, they've just been on this guy since day one of the whole process, which I don't get.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not
He has a
a
different
big
girl
guy.
next to him now. That seems like his girl.
We're on pick 27, so I don't know how many games you guys have left, but I'm probably one more game out. Did you guys win? Good shit. Nice win, boy.
Levis's girl looked pissed.
I was going to say she actually
She's breaking up with him.
looked like she is done with him. So. Here's Harrison. Yeah.
You know, I was saying that because you got Trevor Lawrence. It's never a bad pick to take care of Trevor Lawrence. Make sure you protect your franchise.
They not get the news yet?
Yeah, they didn't look like they were too happy about that, huh?
He's
That's
not happy he won
Cam
at 20.
Robinson PED.
He was not happy they traded down twice before they picked him. They cost
Lost
him.
some money,
They
like
cost
came
him
on
about
Paris
2.8 million. You could potentially be looking to bounce him down to a guard too if they have 2 tackles already.
But Damien's on the bill.
Damien is on the Bills, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, I forgot about that too. This is Washington to me. If I'm the Bengals, I'm going Big Wash.
You gotta. Him or Michael Mayer. And just.
Well, to me, I think Washington just gives you so much more in the run game and helps you protect Burrow.
That or Brian Brissy.
Well, to see him go at 28 would be a gift.
129 and a half.
Oh, we still got the Saints, but we still get the Saints. I think that's the perfect spot for him.
No, I gotta say, I give a lot more credit to NFL evaluators. The fact that Will Levis is still on the board gives me a little bit of hope for the future of the NFL.
Well,
it's real
I
sad and
don't,
disheartening
because
when you're
all
seeing
these
Darnold and
outfits
Zach Wilson.
0.1% that he would still be available at this point. So to me, the whole media needs to be gutted.
Yep.
Because I
agree.
watched the same thing happen last year with all the quarterbacks outside Kenny Pickett with talking about the Seahawks taking Malik Willis at 5.
Yeah. And you can look at TDLiveSports.com where we had our evals on quarterbacks. We didn't have a single guy with the first round grade last year. We had, I mean, at least personally, I did have Malik Willis at 1. I had Desmond Ridder at 2, Pickett at 3. But I really didn't see anybody worth the first round pick. And you look back at what the Jets have done over the years, whether it's Sam Darnold at 2, Zach Wilson at 2. I mean, just how many times are you going to miss on a guy that you could actually have a Hall of Fame talent? You know, you can go get franchise cornerstones, but instead you're reaching for something that you hope is there, but you really know deep down it's not. So why are you faking it? Go get what you know is going to be good for your organization and then build from there.
I'll say it again. You're picking, especially if you're picking early in the first round, you need somebody that's going to be there 8, 10, 12 years playing at a Pro Bowl level. Yeah, if you're picking that number 1, you can't be taking a guy that you think might work out.
Exactly.
If you're a team like Cincinnati who has everything in place, you can take a little bit of a flyer. If you're a team that's sitting there and you're picking in the top 5 every year, you have to hit some foundational pieces.
Like if you were the Celtics when you had Bird and stuff, and you take Len Bias, no problem. Other than that, you trade down, you accumulate assets, and you get
We got the Bengals on the clock. In.
Michael Mayer. Miles Murphy,
Miles Murphy.
big boy. He's a freak. He had his best year as a freshman, but this kid fits the bill of everything that you want. The only thing that he has to do is increase consistency and his ability to be in the weight room.
So I'm just still thinking to myself, the Bills moved up
The
to
Bills,
go get Dalton Kincaid.
unbelievable. As your rivals get this kid.
We got the Saints, the Eagles, and the Chiefs, and that'll be the end of round 1. 31 picks this year. Thank you, Tom Brady.
Yeah, that's tomorrow. Okay.
Thank you, Tom. We missed you,
Tom's
Tom.
getting us
What a
out a
great
little bit
career.
early. Tom's
What a great-
always looking out for us.
Well, he really is. And now that it's seemingly over, what would you say to all the fans out there that are listening? Your thoughts on the career of Tom Brady?
I'd like to first start Grafton High School gymnasium, Police vs. Patriots games.
Year
Tom
2000.
Brady taking a basketball full court.
Let me stop you right there. My mom
Hammering it
goes,
in.
"Hey, he's pretty cute," and I said, "Mom, I don't want to hear that stuff." So next thing you know, and I'm hearing the whole first half, "Hey, he's pretty cute, and he's pretty good too." Mom, just shut up. You know, I'm 10 years old. Just shut up. Next thing you know, at halftime, grabs a ball, launches it, swish right through
Nothing
the
but net.
thing, 94 feet baseline to baseline. And
No
I turned
problem.
to my mom. She goes, "See, he's pretty good." I said, "That was lucky." I mean, come on, that's luck. Does it again. This time he banks it in right off the square, a bullet right off the square, 2 for 2. I said, "All right, this guy's pretty friggin' awesome." Went down, met him, got his autograph, gave him a hug and handshake, and it was like a year later, Bledsoe's knocked out. This guy wins us a Super Bowl. And ever since then, it's just been like,
I didn't know.
that's Tom Brady. You would think he's this good,
No, Brady was-
and then as
that's
good
a-
as you
that's a
think he
rookie.
is, he
All
takes it
rookies.
here. And then he's up here, and he's up here. And it's just like it's a constant upward trajectory. Even when you think he's at the top of the mountain,
So
he
I
started to,
I would like to take 30 seconds here,
please.
and I'd like to first. This is a first, a TD Live first. This is maybe a first in my life. I'd like to apologize to Drew Bledsoe because I was one that personally did not like Drew's playing
Oh, I
style.
despise Drew.
Drew had a cannon, but Drew just didn't have. He didn't understand the game of football the way that I thought he should have. He seemed to just struggle with the simple things. And when Drew went down against the Jets, I was celebrating. And that week, my brother went out and he got me a Brady jersey. And he's like,
Yeah.
I know you're a Michigan guy. I know that you like Brady. I know that you hated Bledsoe.
That's
And I still have that Brady jersey. This thing has to be 25 years old at this point. I had 2 hands up. Yes, yes, yes. Boom.
That's awesome. I got a Brady Bucks and Brady's Patriot jersey.
And then that led to almost my death and demise. It was maybe 12, 14 short weeks later. A cold night in New England, Sunday night.
Who'd they play?
They played the Rams, and it was the Super Bowl. And Big Nick got so excited when William McGinnis caused a fumble. Bucky took the ball to the house, and we all got abused.
Dude, we all were jumping.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was
that
like
was
the
awesome.
Incredible Hulk just tossing kids around, and then they threw the little flag, and it didn't count. And Big Nick was just like, "Oh," but the forearm comes up, and you go for a ride.
Oh man, yeah. No, that was fun. I remember that. Glenn came over. We were jumping up and down the Tide Log. Interception return, just great time. But the one thing I'll say with Brady that impressed me the most with him, which is why I always knew that he was going to be, the best. He would throw balls into the dirt when he knew he was going to be criticized for it, but he was making a point to his teammates to say, you need to be here. You know, he's not doing it on third down in the fourth quarter. He's doing it on first down in the first quarter. I need you here, Aaron Dobson. I need you here, you know, because, all right, you might get the catch against this team, but you want to win on this level, we got to be perfect. We got to be better. And that's something that I always admired about him is no matter what, he was looking for perfection. And he would take the beating for it. He would have the incomplete, oh, Brady's throwing him into the dirt. No, if you get it, you realize what Brady's doing. He's coaching
So the
in
one
live.
thing I'd like to say, we got the pick in for the Saints, but I'd like to have this one last comment on Mr. Brady here. So in today's NFL, one of my biggest problems with today's NFL is that the quarterbacks aren't responsible for protecting the wide receivers. During
Nope.
Tom Brady's career, Tom Brady took care of his wide receivers and would throw wide receivers to the ground or not even throw a ball away rather than get his wide receiver's head knocked off. And
The
you
only
can go
guy
ask
that
Al
did-
Peyton Manning. You could go ask some of his wide
Austin Coley,
receivers
Dallas Clark. You want me to keep
What-
going? Knocked
what
out
happened to their lives.
Anthony
because of
Gonzalez,
Peyton.
first round pick out of Ohio State, done.
And
And about
Brady
4 years.
made sure his guys were always protected. He made sure he kept them away from those big hits. And I think that's such a big part of the game that's kind of being
100%.
erased today.
The only
but
time that he would force one in to take a hit is when it really counted.
fourth,
And he knew
fourth
that he
and 5 when you needed it in a one-score
Edelman in the
game.
Super Bowl against Seattle, where how did he not get knocked out cold? I'm pretty sure he got a concussion.
Well,
but
he did. He
he
was concussed.
keeps
And
fighting forward, and it's like, dude, you know. So I just like winners, and to me, Tom was the Jordan of our era, and just
right, so the Saints have new head coach. Who did they get?
eat some baked ziti. They had Dennis Erickson, wasn't it?
Dennis Erickson.
And let's see who they take here at pick 28, folks, or pick 29. The pick is in. Oh, my boy Brian Brissy. And I hit it.
29.
Under 29 and a half. There we go, Brian. Hey. There we go.
Back-to-back Clemson guys. Two very talented players
Number
coming
one
off the
overall
board.
Out of high school,
And
20
Brissy.
still a year ago.
Brissy, yeah. So we did talk about this before. If we rewind about 10 minutes, we did say Brissy going 29 to the Saints
Oh, yeah.
after Washington going 28 to the Bengals. The Bengals nixed the plan, but they did make sure they came away with two very talented players back to
This
back.
kid's tape is impeccable to me. I mean, just can do some stuff that other guys simply can't. He can jack you off the line, and then he's quick. He can get right around you, and then he'll finish the play. I mean, just
Do I see Pittsburgh at 32?
that's from the Bears Claypool pick, second round.
Okay, that's what. Yep. I was trying to think to myself where they got that from, and that just makes that Claypool trade look even that much worse.
Yep.
My God, it was bad in real time, but
Oh,
seeing
terrible.
pick 32, gave up a first-round pick for 1 year of team control. So Philly here, the bar, you're gonna get somebody good.
Let me take a look here at what Philly might be dealing with. Would you consider a tight end at this point if you're Philadelphia?
Yes, well you got Goddard, but they've already paid Goddard. Yeah, Philly's a complete team.
So why
Philly
wouldn't
can
you go get a Michael Mayer or a
Why
Nolan
wouldn't you
Smith
go get
or
Nolan
Brian
Smith?
Brandt or Joey
what-
Porter?
Why wouldn't you get Nolan Smith and rotate him with Hassan Reddick and let him come right off the edge?
Because I'm thinking that you have 5 guys that should have gone within the top 15, and they have the pick of the litter here.
Howie Roseman, the bar, he's gonna get a good player here.
But it's funny when I used to watch the Patriots how easy it is to get better
Those
when you have a
players
good
should be
team.
taken.
Because all you do is take the best player available. Whereas when you're a bad team, you're reaching for the stars for something that is fictitious, that's not there. Go get what's there. Go get what's tangible. You know what I mean?
We could go Joey Porter Jr. if we see Darius Slay. I know Slay always wants more money.
Put it this way, take Smith, Porter, or Meyer right here, or Darnell Washington, you're sitting pretty.
Yeah, I would go either Nolan Smith or Joey Porter Jr. And I don't know how Nolan Smith is still on the board. If I'm the Eagles, I'm taking Nolan Smith and I'm putting him right in a rotation with Hassan Reddick. They're very similar type of rush ends. The Eagles play that wide nine. You put them right at the end with those D tackles. You put Nolan Smith, Jordan Davis, and Jalen Carter together. You win a national title. Like, come on.
Oh, you're absolutely correct.
Just keep grabbing Georgia guys all day.
You know what I would love to see, and it's going to be a few rounds down the road, but I'd like to see, and we'll pick it up tomorrow as well as this weekend. But where Deuce Vaughn ends up.
Deuce Vaughn, yeah, very good. Very good
What
little back
what
there.
that kid is. You know what I mean? I think he's going to be a great third down back.
Great third down back. He'll be, yeah, very, very, very good third down back. I'd like to see him in New England. Get
Love to see him in
Stevenson off the
James
field.
White, yeah.
So the Chiefs, we got two teams left, the Eagles and the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs have some holes. I think the Chiefs are looking at that offensive line.
I was going to say, they got to go tackle. DeJuan Jones would replace Orlando Brown.
And they've also, yeah, I like that. But
That's
they've
who I
also
compare
lost
him to,
Juju.
so
I believe Hardman's out the door as well.
he is, yep. But Juju's gone.
They
You
did
got
bring in
Ty
the kid
Moore,
from the Jets, right?
Kadarius Toney. Who else they got?
They made the trade with the Jets, I believe. No.
Which trade?
For, oh, he was second round last year, 2 years ago.
Denzel Mims?
Nope. Two years ago.
Well, they got Tony. They got Sky
Yeah, they
Moore.
got Tony, but I thought they had brought in the other
Marquez
kid.
Valdez-Scantling they signed from the Packers.
I thought they had brought in who's the kid from the Jets I'm thinking of? He didn't play. He hasn't played. Very little.
I'm looking right now. They signed Richie James Jr. They have John Ross. They have Amir Smith-Marset.
So Ross was in part of Tom Sixer last year. That kid's gonna be a good ball player.
He's got some potential, that's for sure.
I don't think they're going to take a wide receiver. You know, the running back is off the board. The first of the left, two running backs.
Who am I thinking of? Well, Elijah Moore. Where'd he go to?
Browns.
Cleveland.
Yeah. No, he's a hell of a player. He was an Antonio Brown comparison for me coming out. Obviously a poor man's, but
They're arguing.
Welcome.
I think he's saying, how the hell did we get this lucky? We got Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith. Are we kidding?
I think that's who they're picking.
I hope that's who they're picking because
They
they got
got
the
it.
other Georgia kid last year.
But if they come out and get a Joey Porter Jr. too, then
Yeah, I just look at it and say that D line is.
funny
Banging
seeing
it.
Carter holding that jersey. The thing might fit around his bicep. Like that.
Might get
that
over
ain't
his
fitting
head.
the kid.
I'd be swimming in that jersey. 200 pounds.
I remember at the NBA Hall of Fame, I saw Tim Duncan's jersey, and I was like, goodness gracious, that would be a nightgown for me.
Yeah, right down my ankle.
Oh,
then you
man.
think about
Down
Taco.
the sidewalk, the thing would be hanging. Like, that dude is a monster.
Taco Fall.
Oh,
God.
ridiculous.
Okay, can you just read the pick?
I have not done this scientifically, but it's 122.
I'm going pass rush. I'm going Big Noel.
I'm
I'm
going to have
going
to agree with Katrina and Maxwell over there. They ought to announce the pick. I mean, it said the pick was
Give
in.
it to us. With the 31st pick.
In the 2023 NFL
It
Draft.
should be 31st because we should have had him. We should have had him announce the Dolphins pick, and then they should have had to say in
Have a
front of
moment of
everybody
silence
it was
for the pick.
forfeited.
Exactly.
Give me a little Lou Ferrigno, 110% right now.
It's tough to see my friend in a bar. When he was at Michael Jackson's funeral, they talked to Lou. Well, it's tough to see my buddy in a box. I was just like, that's probably not the most appropriate thing to say here, Lou. Like, maybe, hey, I'm sorry for his loss.
Mr. Trump, I've given 110% on this podcast.
At the time,
I don't deserve to go home.
Lisa Lampanelli, if you were a dude, I told you to
Pick
that
us in.
effing wall. Michael Mayer. They're going to build up the D. Joey Porter.
I'm going Nolan Smith. I think that
Ryan
you got to take
Grant,
that
Nolan Smith.
that front seven you won't have to touch for a decade.
Hey, John Michael Smith to replace Jason Kelsey.
Woo.
This is a pony show. Let's just get it.
Why do they have this transvestite on there?
Can't say that. This is a TD Live broadcast. Keep your personal thoughts to yourself.
I apologize.
She's
I thought it was
definitely a
Larry
man.
Bird at first, so I was over there on the left. No.
Oh, that's Mrs. Kelsey.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was Larry Bird. Sorry. That's my fault.
Yeah, okay, let's go.
Come on, Mrs. Bird, announce the pick.
That was awful. Fail.
Nolan Smith. Boom.
The bar.
Eagles hit
I'm
a home
telling
run
you,
again.
I'm an Eagles fan at this point. I'm gonna start doing the fly Eagles fly like I'm an Angels in the outfield.
I'll probably end
He's
up being
laughing.
guy too,
He's like, are you kidding me? I get to play with Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter and Quay Watt. Like,
Russell Wilson became my second favorite quarterback in league history when he threw that interception to the Patriots on the goal line. If the Eagles had lost that second Super Bowl and weren't handed that,
oh,
then I'd be the biggest Eagles fan right now because all the Cowboys fans here are obnoxious and they hate the Eagles. But
I would have
this
taken.
team
I
is
would have
doing
taken
things right.
him. I would have taken him third overall without any question over Will Anderson.
He's a monster.
You're just gonna get him wide nine, just abusing. I
You
guarantee
can do anything
hurts.
with this kid.
He hurts two quarterbacks this year. I'm calling him. Knocks out two of them.
Well, what? Like I said, what were the red flags on this kid? Everything was perfect.
Any.
Yeah. To
He's
me, I would have considered this kid number
238.
one.
He came in at 230. Will Anderson came in at 241. Everybody loves him. It's ridiculous.
And he doesn't have the versatility. I mean, Anderson doesn't have the versatility Smith has.
One went to Bama and had Nick Saban pounding the drum for him. That's it. He had
Well,
Saban show up at the draft.
This kid can put his hands in the ground, play the end. He can play 3-4 outside. He can play 3-4 inside. I mean, really.
The Eagles are absolutely stacked up front in that front seven.
Stacked.
And the biggest recipient here is going to be Jalen Hurts getting MVP talk every year for these guys. Look at that.
Drafted
Carter,
Georgia
Smith,
defense.
Davis, and Dean. Unbelievable.
I'm an Eagles guy now. Yeah.
9, 30, 13, and like, what is the rest of the league doing?
We've said this for years. This is why we ended up making the site and doing this ourselves, is because we see an aptitude across the board. It's amazing.
I love Howie Roseman.
He's doing a great job. The A.J. Brown deal was a steal. Devontae Smith pick.
Well, you got Devontae Smith. Yeah, you got all the. Yeah, my God. I just don't know what you do. You're going to have elite pass rush and you have elite run defense. That team's going to be brutal to play.
Their trenches on both sides of the ball are ridiculous. You know, and you and I have been guys pounding the board. We used to play 5-2 Madden match. We're the type of guys that you
NFC
definitely have to make sure you get your big men early because we're going to take
Gonna have pass rush, and we're gonna have big time physical domination.
Absolutely.
That's gonna be a miserable team to play against. Because I'm just talking about the rookies and second year players. You have Fletcher Cox, Hassan.
All pro. Yeah. Look at their offensive line. Now the only thing is, and it's a deep class for it, but they need to get themselves a nice running back, and they will. They will.
That's not hard to find in this league.
It's not hard to find whatsoever. So
And you still got Kenneth Gainwell, and you still got Boston Scott. Like they still got rotational guys. It's not like Sanders had 3,600 carries the last 4 years.
I'll take some eggs, Edie. Zach Evans, like I said, #1 overall recruit coming out of high school over Bijan Robinson. Of course, averaged about 6.5 a carry for TCU. Went to Ole Miss this past year. Split duty. They had a great freshman power back. He'll probably go 3rd or 4th round. The kid will end up being a 1,000-yard rusher as a rookie.
I think this could be a Brian Branch spot.
Drew Sanders.
Who else you got at wide out here?
Let me think about wideouts here. No, I was thinking linebacker. Drew Sanders got a little bit of a blitz right out there. You get him with Nick Bolton.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say you already got Nick Bolton there. I'm kind of thinking offensive line.
Wait, this is the last one, right?
Last pick, yeah. Last pick of the night here. We just want to thank you here for joining us, TD Live, NFL 2023 player entry draft. Thursday.
Oh, it's always a great time to have these drafts, and we thank you guys for the support. It will be up on tdlive.com. Check out future articles. We're going to do a review on every team in this draft. If I'm looking at wide receivers at this point, since we have Jackson Smith and Jigba off the board, Quentin Johnson gone, Zay Flowers gone, Jordan Addison gone, the next group that you'd be looking at as far as tier, I wouldn't have them as a first-round grade, would be Josh Downs, Jalen Hyatt, Marvin Mims.
Oh, Jalen Hyatt could
Cedric
fit in
Tillman.
nicely. He could fit in nicely to that Mecole Hardman role.
To an extent, I just think
he's running that one go route.
Butte from LSU in a 2nd or 3rd round, that's probably better value. And
yeah, I'm just saying, Hyatt can come in and streak down the field with Mahomes. That's all he needs to run. One route.
We get DeJuan Jones at 6'8", 374 to replace Orlando Brown. I think that's a good move as well.
I think that would be a hell of a move. I'm not sure they connect those dots though.
They're a smart team. I would not be surprised if they take him here.
So you got Creed Humphreys in the middle. You got Joe Tooney at one guard. So pretty solid, at least in the middle. You got I'm thinking Tennessee, Smith.
Yes, Darnell Smith.
No, at guard, at their other guard.
Oh, Trey Smith.
Trey Smith, yep.
Yeah.
So at tackle, they could definitely use a tackle. I think they go cornerback. I don't think you can pass them up. I think Joey Porter Jr.
You know,
I'm going secondary. I'm going Joey Porter Jr. or Branch. One of the two. They add to the secondary.
Both of them would be great picks. That's for sure. If I'm personally running the Chiefs at this point, I take DeJuan Jones. 6'8", 374, 36-inch arms. I'm putting him at right tackle, and I don't think twice about it.
I'm thinking that you hope that he slides there to you in 2nd round, or you move up in 2nd round to like 46 and take him at that point.
I'm a few minutes out. Yeah, the pick is in, but then I got a hard wire, so I don't want to hold you guys up. I'm like 5 minutes out. Maybe less. I can always wait, so doesn't matter to me, man.
Let's go here, ladies and gentlemen. It's
For our final pick of the night, we got the
11:52.
Kansas City Chiefs on the board. Of course,
Yeah.
up their 2nd Super Bowl under Patrick Mahomes and Coach Andy Reid. And the draft is here in Kansas City, so finally the home team is getting rowdy here. And
They should have traded out. They should have made them all come back tomorrow. They shouldn't have let them celebrate at all. They should, NFL. They should have traded back with the first pick of the 2nd round with the Pittsburgh.
Hey.
And they
Now,
should have
Tom,
had it all open up
some of the
tomorrow night
options that
show.
they have here. Would you consider another tight end to come behind Travis Kelce and really build
I
that out?
never think with what we have for tight ends, I think they're fantastic tight end options.
They are.
I had said I thought there could be up to 4 in this first round.
And if
Seeing
you were hard pressed into it, if you had to make a decision for the Kansas City Chiefs, would you go with a Darnell Washington or a Michael Mayer?
for what they do, I would go with Michael Mayer.
Same here. I think he's a little more elusive. You can rub him off of Kelce and get quick out routes, etc.
I think this
They're
would be
not
a
a big
great
running
spot for
team,
them
so you don't
to,
need
to
in-
start
inside
to
out
start the
but
transition. Because how much does Kelsey really legitimately have left in him?
probably about
A year,
2 years
two?
at peak.
Yes. One knee and he's done. One knee and the career's over.
And ladies and gentlemen, the final pick of the first round of the 2023 NFL Draft is in. We got Clark Hunt, the general manager.
We want Gracie.
Now, would you draft Merrill Hodge here with this pick?
I've watched 52 hours of tape tonight, and I don't think I would.
Guys, my name is Ron Jaworski, and I have watched 24 hours of tape in the last 4 hours. This guy is an NFL quarterback. Oh, Felix Nduke Uzoma. He got Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. Definitely did not deserve
Yeah,
it.
the luxury pick. Luxury pick. They pick who they
We got
want.
it over Jalen Ford, Texas's middle linebacker, who was first team All-American. And that made no sense because this kid was not an All-American.
Hey, you just bring in another body. Look at Frank Clark and the contract coming up.
Thank you, brother.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it. TD Live.
Mr. Unpredictable, what a hell of a first round. We will
It's
be
me.
back.
It's me. It's Tommy B.
It's
and
Tommy,
I
and he
am
is
unpredictable.
It's Danny O. We will catch up with you guys later. Have a great night, and thanks for joining us for the 2023 first round of the NFL Draft.
The man from San Ann, Dan, the show, Danny O. Let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, we just want to say thank you. We appreciate your viewing. We hope you enjoyed the show. Please, any donations can be made in lieu of our Coors Light budget. It's greatly appreciated. Good fight.
Absolutely.
Good night.